We are now here and live and here. First!
Yes, I am always first.
That's this noise. I'm loading up the game now.
Okay.
Load faster! Oh! Ebby Hime. Wait. Ebby is Okay. Okay, I get it.
So lonely here.
Okay. Load! We were here. The mermaid. The mermadi. Does not look much older than you do, but you can't help but wonder.
My, nosy, aren't we?
The mermaid asks, and she laughs. A soft tinkling sound that like of a bell, which makes you blush. As Xanthros. Were you nosy? Perhaps you were. You have always had a thirst for knowledge, not the dry, dusty academic variety, but of stories peopled with strange persons. Literature was the only subject you were ever any good at.
Again, it is hard for me to quantify. To put it in terms a human like you can understand, I suppose we mermaids can live for centuries.
Jesus! Centuries? That is quite the surprise. But perhaps it shouldn't be. You've been subjected to many surprises tonight. What is one more to add to the pile?
I've not been waiting quite that long, however, for my friend to return to me. I think it has been but a few seasons.
Oh shit.
But that
There you go.
might not sound like much, but never before have I been so aware of the passage of time. I have never experienced any number of months during my life. I've never wanted anything quite as badly as I want to see her.
Can you hear the mermaid in the background a little bit? Or no?
Huh?
Because there's a little bit of a siren singing. Or mermaid at this case. The music? No?
Oh yeah, I can hear her faint vocals.
I can make it louder. Do you hear it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wish she would sit with me and she would talk to me just one more time. Perhaps I am asking for an impossibility. I've been waiting for long enough now to presume that she will not be returning to me. I fear that something must have happened to her, or to her family, or perhaps to her whole village.
You can hear the worry throbbing in the main's voice, so potent that for a few moments you could feel the depths of her sorrow within your own heart. Chest. Yes. Sadness over this human girl is deep, dark thing, almost fathomless. You cannot let yourself indulge in it for too long, otherwise the fear you might drown in it. Ruefully, you tell the mermaid once more that you cannot help her. You're only a traveler after all. What do you know of a farmhand? What do you know of a single farmhand in a nearby village?
Yes, I thought you might say that. It's quite unfortunate, but oh well. I ought not to reflect upon all that I am missing. That would be churlish of me, and it would not be fair to you either. You did not approach me, I'm sure, with the hope of hearing about all of my woes. I should be grateful, instead, for all it is that I do have. I still have my long, long life, which stretches before me like a golden cord. And of course, I have you now.
Does she?
Why not? I ought to go soon, before my absence is noted, but will you not come and visit me again tomorrow night? I think I would like that. I have always enjoyed speaking to humans. You make me feel less alone.
You cannot help but feel as the mermaid observes you with those enchanting eyes of hers, that she does not truly wish to speak to you for your sake. She wants to use you instead as a substitute for the farmhand that she has been missing so very ardently. Ardently? The thought stings, though you really ought to be used to it. Still, to be held in lower esteem than a farmhand of all things. Make sure your self-esteem thing. I see a kitty. Toga! I haven't replaced the tip of the pen yet, but it's because I bought like replacements, and I'm waiting for them to cometh.
Oh, you mean pen nibs?
Yes, pen nibs. It's because the ones that I saw, apparently you have to like get it directly because third world, haha. But you know, you have to get it directly at the post office. While at this specific one, they deliver it directly to your door. So I used that one, and I hope soon I can get it. You try not let the mermaid notice this, though. The woes of your past are not her fault, much as the woes of her past are not yours. It is silly in any case to be jealous of a girl who might very well be okay. That is what you tell yourself. It is the only way to prop up your bruised sense of self-worth. You would tell the mermaid after a pause, like, to see her again. You would like her very much.
Oh, thank you. I've been feeling very gloomy for quite some time, but seeing you has invigorated me. Finally, it feels as though I can smile again.
Did she not smile, you wonder, after her friend disappeared?
I did not. No, I did not have the heart. Without her, the world seemed very dull and drab. Your company has cheered me up immensely.
I'll be lurking cute. Okay, Toga! I hope if you have any comments that you do it while we're doing this, because yes.
This is why I like humans so much. You are not callous and unfeeling, like the merfolk who live beneath the water's surface. You are much kinder than they are.
Oh, if only she knew. Mermaid was aware, I wonder, of how petty you are, and how jealous. Would she still care for you? I miss everyone, including your, and your. Yes, everyone. Come back. You hit me. I get so lonely. Anyways, well, that is neither here nor there. Now, I am not the one who was doing that, okay? You agreed to meet with the mermaid come sundown the following night and make your slow stumbling way back up the cliffs, then to the cottage you have purloined as your own. Once indoors, you settle down upon your pallet and you close your eyes. The sighing of the wind outside and the distant rolling of the waves against the rocks do not disturb you. You feel, after your midnight encounter of a murish kind, quite at ease, perhaps prematurely so. What happened to the icy fear which prompted your frantic flight through the forest? Or has all that gone? Do not think that you're being a bit complacent. No? Oh well, you will. The following morning, when it arrives, it is cloudy and overcast. It is not a particularly pleasant morning, but at least it's not raining. That is some small consolation. Your eyes from your stall stretching, then glance about the interior of the fisherman's cottage. It looked dilapidated last night when much of it was obscured by the shadows, but it looks even more so when subjected to the morning's light. The cottage's interior has the distinct, disquieting appearance of having been abandoned in a hurry. There's broken pottery strewn upon the ground, and the single wooden chair, which once must have stood by the singular wooden table that is lying on the floor. Doors of the cupboards, meanwhile, are ajar, the shelves within depressingly bare. The quick search reveals a handful of but there is precious little to be getting with. Yeah, I know, but I don't think it's like. Is it that? Is this? Is the chopping sound the game or what?
No, it's me. Sorry.
Oh, I was like,
I'm having a cucumber.
oh, okay, understandable. If you wish to, no, it's okay.
I'll mute.
It's okay. Do not. How dare you mute? Ah. Ah. Don't leave me.
I'm still here. I'm just eating.
Don't mute. Don't mute.
Oh, so you'd rather have your audience hear me chewing?
Yes.
Maybe I don't want to.
Then I said. Ah. I said no.
Well, unfortunately, a good chunk of this cucumber is very sour.
It's
Not
okay.
right.
If you wish to live here comfortably, you will have to look into foraging. You ate very little last night and your stomach is empty. It was the content rumblings of your stomach, in actual fact, was roused you from your slumber. But your body seems to be very far away indeed, much like the grey clouds which choke the sky. You are not thinking of your own physical discomforts. You are dwelling instead upon the events of the night prior. You cannot help but think of the mermaid. Did you truly meet an aquatic maiden last night during your nightly stroll when you could not sleep? It sounds unreal, especially now that the sun has risen and the shadows from the night prior have disappeared. I cannot quite believe it. It must have been a But why? Then, can you recall it very clearly? You help yourself to the scant food and drink available to you all the while thinking of your next course of action. Now what are you to do? You plan, of course, to return to the shore come nightfall, so that you might once again see the mermaid, but the night will not arrive for quite some time. You need to find some means of keeping yourself occupied till then. The uninspiring interior of the cottage does not furnish you with any particular ideas, so you decide to go for a walk. Your soul still aches from your exertions last night, but if you go slowly, you ought to be alright. That is what you hope, at least. You do not want to spend much longer than you have to in the fisherman's cottage, no matter how cold it might be outdoors. It's almost as cold inside as it is out, and in any case, the cottage is far too small. You leave the cottage behind and you set off. You do not know where exactly you are going, but you suppose it does not matter overly much. You do not have any particular destination in mind. Your meanderings lead you to the cliffs, which are steep and sharp. The drop to the shore is a perilous one, so much so that you have to wonder how you were able to descend the cliffs the night prior to meet the mermaid. You're rather more determined than you ever realized, though I, of course, could have told you that much. You're surprisingly capricious for a small, slender human. You walk alongside of the cliffs, keeping a sensible distance away from the drop to the shore. You might have survived last night's excitement unscathed, but you do not fancy trying your luck. It would be so like you, really, to avoid a drop to your death like in the darkness, only to stumble during the morning's light and take an irreversible tumble. Your fortunes have never been the fairest. Your meanderings along the cliff reveal to you a manner of curious flora. You thought the night prior that the cliffs were weather-blasted, but you can see now that your assumptions were incorrect. There are flowers here, very warm and bright, like the sun's light during summertime. Or you think, with the flush of pleasure, the fair hair of the mermaid whom you are certain you spoke to last night. These flowers are so very like her hair, it is uncanny. You step towards the flower, drawn towards them, and sink down to your knees. The tall grass brushes your ankles like a caress. The morning's dew wetting your skirt. Your clothes are getting damp as your legs, but you care not for this minor discomfort. You have just had an idea. Why not make a gift for your new friend? You're sure that she would appreciate it. Why would she not? She told you in a voice which was steeped with a dolor that she had been feeling lonely. You want to see her again. And when you next see her, you would like to make her smile. It is with this thought in mind that you begin to pick the flowers which are growing upon the cliffside. These flowers do not have any thorns, and their delicate stems snap easily enough between your fingers. Take care when plucking these flowers to leave a substantial amount of stem intact. You'll need these stems that you might twine the flowers together. You need to make for your mermaid a diadem, something she will be able to wear in her hair. This tiara is certain to suit her. She is so pretty, anything would suit her. Continue to work slow and steadfast as the weak sun shines. It takes time, but you're eventually able to fashion something you are satisfied with. You only hope the mermaid will feel the similarity. If indeed she really does exist. Carefully, you pocket your makeshift diadem and decide to forage for some food. You discover during your search some fruit trees whose sweet burdens are enough to fortify your spirits. For the present, at least. It is fortunate, really, that you are so excited about your moonlight rendezvous with the mermaid. If you are less focused upon the future and dwelt more in the immediate present, you might have more of an appetite. The emptiness of your stomach is assuaged. You return to the cottage whereat you mean to wait for the setting of the sun. There is very little to do, you soon discover, in the cottage, other than checking the cupboards and sweeping the floor, occupations which both feel depressingly pointless. There are no books to read either, with which you might pass your idle hours. You do, however, busy yourself with trying to light a fire so that you might ward off the cold. The time is horribly slow in passing. In part, you have precious little to do, but also because you cannot stop thinking of the mermaid. Will she really return to the shore as she said she would? Can you truly trust her? Oh, you hope that you can. If she were not present at your designated meeting place, you think you would die from disappointment. The seconds continue to trickle by, unchecked by any hourglass, and as they do, the sun sinks beneath the horizon. Part of you worries, however, that it might still be too early to search for the mermaid. Will she be there yet? You sit there, your stomach tied up in anxious knots, and as you listen to the wind which buffets your windows, you hear it. The sound's faint, but you recall it from the night before. There's a single solitary voice outdoors, tempest-tossed amidst the rolling waves. The voice is a high, clear one, silvery, if indeed voices have colors. Like a finely polished dinner plate in a noble woman's home, the voice belongs, of course, to the mermaid. Who else do you know with a voice such angelic as that? Relief begins to bubble up inside you, a relief so potent you feel dizzy from it. She did not abandon you after all. Why did you wonder? Did you think she would? She said that she wanted to see you. Did you think that a mere nicety? Buoyed. Buoyed? As if by a gentle breeze you hurry to... What?
I think it's buoyed.
Anyways, with trembling fingers, they are trembling, I presume, from the excitement rather than fear. You seize the handle, then turn it, and you step out into the dark, inky night. You walk towards the cliff as you did the night prior, beneath the cover of the inky blue sky, the wind moaning fitfully with every step you take. Your soul still aches from your expedition from the day prior, but you are able to ignore this discomfort. Jesus, it seems irrelevant, really, when compared to the prospect of once again meeting the mermaid. You have known her for only one night, yet she has come to mean more to you than your own well-being. You would do anything for the mermaid if she asked it. Well, almost anything. You hurry down the sharp incline of the ships of the shore, almost stumbling in your scuffed brown shoes, which really were not built with rock climbing in mind. So frantic are your attempts to once again make the mermaid's acquaintance, you nearly fall. It's a good thing you still have enough sense about you to regain your footing. Otherwise, this tale would come to a premature ending. Eventually, you make your way onto the shore and approach the jagged outcrop of a rock whereat you saw the mermaid. That's the mermaid. Am I having a stroke? What is happening? Like the night prior, the mermaid... Such a... Hey! How dare it? The mermaid just perched upon these rocks, her fair hair strewn about her shoulders. When she sees you from across the shore, she ceases her singing, and her eyes light up. Or at least they seem to.
So, you have returned to me, my hero.
The mermaid says, then lightly she giggles.
Or perhaps I should say heroine?
Her praise makes you
And not the
blush.
drug kind, people.
Yeah, okay, you do not feel worthy of it. Nobody has ever called you a heroine before. You do not even think yourself as a hero girl. If a song were made about you, you would rather think you would be a supporting character, one without her own voice. You're not interesting, Drogel! How dare... The mermaid seems to think that you are, though. She's staring at you delightedly, as though you are the one person in the world she most wishes to speak to. The thought makes you tremble, but not as much as the mermaid's gaze. You tell the mermaid that you do not think you are so very brave, but she dismisses your awkward remark with a laugh.
I think you are. Saw the way you scaled those cliffs. Thought that was very heroic.
Oh, so she saw that, did she? Then did she see how you slipped down the cliffs grazing your palms in the process and how you very nearly fell? You have never been the most graceful of girls, but to have your failings exposed before being as poised and as perfect as a mermaid stings a little bit. More, in fact, as the resultant grazes on your palms, your clumsiness wrought you. You tell the mermaid that there was nothing so very heroic about all that. You were simply excited. That is all, to see her again. You were thinking.
Well, that makes two of us. I was excited to see you again.
She was?
Naturally, I had a very good time speaking to you last night. I had hoped that we might resume our correspondence. That's why I came to the rocks a bit earlier than usual. I was waiting for you. Did you hear my song?
Yes, you reply with a nod of your head. You heard it all the way in the abandoned cottage. It called out to you.
That was the general idea. I was singing for you.
She was? You do not think you are worthy of the mermaid's song, but if she does not mind dedicating her voice to you then...
Well, who else would I dedicate my voice to? There's nobody else to hear me.
That's a good point, you suppose. Shyly, you look back at the mermaid. You thank her for her song, and it was very beautiful, then tell her, before you lose your nerve, that you have prepared a present for her too.
Oh, have you really?
You have. It is a small thing, nothing more than a silly trinket, but if it would not be too much of an imposition, then, with clumsy fingers, you reach into your pocket. For a few moments, you felt your near fall down of damage, the delicate chain nestled within it, but your worries are vain. The chain is surprisingly sturdy, given it was only made with only a few flowers, and it has held firm against the odds. You handle the chain with great care all the same, however, as you hold it out, presenting it for the mermaid's appropriation. It was for the mermaid that you fashioned this chain. You thought that it would look nice, nestled in her hair. You were pleased with the chain when you first made it, but after looking at the mermaid, you have begun to reconsider. The mermaid's beauty is so otherworldly, so much so it almost hurts to look at her. Your flower crown, by comparison, it seems a very meager offering indeed. The longer you hold your gift out, the more unworthy it feels. You have half a mind as the second elapses to snatch your silly, wholly unworthy gift back from the mermaid before she can judge you too harshly. But the mermaid's lips curves upward into a smile. In a voice so full of gratitude, it makes your heart throb, she says.
Oh my, did you make this for me?
Well, yes, you reply, feeling a little bit flustered. You saw these flowers earlier when you went for a walk, and they made you think of her. Not, you hasten to add that you think her beauty is comparable to these flowers. They are far inferior with contrasted with her good looks. You simply thought you're unable to get the rest of the scent out, however. Because the mermaid interrupts you, not rudely, but with something resembling compassion. Perhaps she pities you. She must be able to hear how your voice is trembling. Can she also see the way your hands tremor? Oh dear. Faint heart never won the hand of a fair maiden, you know. What happened to all your confidence?
I think that your gift is a wonderful one. I did not at all expect it, but it is really pretty.
You look at your feet, too shy to meet the mermaid's gaze. Then you say very quietly that you're glad she thinks so, but she does not need to spare your ego. You have precious little of it left as it is. The mermaid seems touched by your shyness. Perhaps she likes her prey to be self-conscious because she smiles.
I am not simply saying things to spare your ego. I'm not like that. Humans might spout platitudes as easily as they breathe air, but I do not compliment others unless I truly mean it. Is that not the point of speech? To have an honest dialogue with one another? If one party in a conversation is withholding their true intentions, then conversation is impossible. Playing games is a waste of my time, particularly given my time above the surface is so very limited.
Oh, you blush at this more deeply still, and survey the mermaid beneath the full fringe of your eyelashes. Then, she really does like it? Oh
Did I
shit.
not just say that? You humans are so very funny, what with all of your second guessing. She was like that too, in the beginning.
She?
My friend.
The mermaid's answer is a simple one, but it makes your stomach clench regardless. Ah yes, her friend. How could you have forgotten about her?
Jealousy. She used to make me gifts too, you know. Just like this one. She'd pick flowers on the cliffs over there, where I cannot tread.
The mermaid gestures with one hand to the cliffs which tower above the shore, tall and imposing, as though to stab the sky above.
She would fashion them into crowns like this one, and bracelets. I was appreciative of her tokens. She was similarly shy when she first presented them to me. She did not seem to think very much of her handiwork. You and her are remarkably similar, really.
There is no guile in the mermaid's voice, but her words have rather taken the wind out of your sails. Of course, the cowherd gave the mermaid gifts. Why would she not? The mermaid is beautiful. She's so very beautiful, like a toddlery goddess. She seems to invite tribute simply by existing. Are you more religious or just maybe you might even consider work. Okay, though in a sense it is not what you were holding with your flower crown. How silly of you to think that your idea was an original one.
Might be accustomed to gifts, but it's been a long time since any human has bequeathed me with anything. This is a pleasant surprise. I am truly thankful for your kindness, dear one.
The mermaid leans forwards on her rock to pluck the circlet from your fingers. Her benevolent smile all the while is unwavering.
And now that I look at your gift more closely, I think it is of a superior quality to the gift my old friend once gave me.
Now, this is enough to make you start. If the touch of a mermaid's fingers upon your own was not, could your silly gift really be better than those she once accepted?
I think so. Friend's trinkets were all rather clumsy in execution, though I cherished them nonetheless. They were very precious to me. It did not last for very long, though, not when I took them with me to my home beneath the ocean. The water soon rent the fragile links between the flower stems asunder. The diadem, however, seems more sturdy, but is, by the same token, very delicate. You must be very good with your hands.
I think, if that means anything. Sus? That type of hands?
Ayo.
Ayo? You think back briefly on your disastrous sewing lessons in the past, of your numerous failed attempts to thread your needle, while the other girls giggle at you and you blush. You think the mermaid's praise might be a touch too effusive. You tell the mermaid as much, but she only laughs.
I do not think so. Now. Screenshot!
The mermaid places your... Yes.
Yay.
If only she won't kill us. Just like Xavier Persian did. Mermaid places your floral trinket upon her head over her long fair hair, then surveys you in a manner which seems almost coquettish.
What do you think?
You think that the mermaid looks radiant, though that is less because of your gift and more because of her natural looks. You tell the mermaid this, though not in the terms quite this glowing, and she giggles.
You are selling yourself too short. I think your gift is lovely, really. The flowers rather match my hair.
Yes, you answer with a nod of your head. That is why you picked those flowers. She is all that you have been able to think of.
I'm glad that you have been thinking of me. I, in truth, have been thinking of you. I did not wish to say as much.
No?
No, it would be embarrassing to confess how much I've been looking forward to our reunion if you do not feel similarly. I do not care to pine for humans from afar. If you care for me as I do you, then it makes me feel less alone.
You hasten to assure the moment, your face aflame. Do you ever stop blushing? Goodness gracious! That you do care for her, very much so! You have not known her for very long, but she certainly has made an impression upon you. She is such an easy conversationalist. The time simply slips by when you are together, and it does not hurt, of course, that she is so pretty.
I've heard it said, yes, that my looks are rather appealing. My old friend was certainly complimentary. I cannot blame you humans for being so taken with me, and my form is so very graceful. My legs seem rather cumbersome in comparison to my smooth, sleek tail.
Stale. Not gonna lie, if I could swear swim underwater like a mermaid and like breathe underwater? That would be cool. I wanna see the one.
It must be so very depressing to lumber about on land as you do, living your days beneath the harsh sun and the cool, unfeeling moon. Sometimes I rather think I pity you. But the surface is a good deal brighter than it is beneath the ocean. I will grant you that much.
You agree with the mermaid, still feeling flushed that there are some perks to having legs, an agreement which makes the mermaid giggle.
I'm certain that there are. You can't explore the ocean's depths as I can. I presume you have never tried it?
You shake your head. No, you never thought to do so, largely because you have never been so close to the sea before. Not in all your life. You did not have much opportunity for nautical exploration in the past. You were not allowed to go anywhere then to save to the local church. It was quite a lonely existence.
Oh now, that is a pity. You were kind enough to give me a gift fashioned from flowers which grow where I cannot reach them, so perhaps I ought to return the favor.
The favor?
Yes, that is right. It would seem only fitting that I give you something which can only be found on the ocean's depths. Perhaps we could look at it as a form of cultural exchange.
Oh no, you protest, your eyes wide. You couldn't possibly put such a burden upon her. You did not give her a gift after all, because you wanted to receive anything in turn. Anything other than her friendship, that is. Her conversation is more than enough to satisfy you. You do not need any physical presence on top of that. The mermaid does not seem convinced, however, by your naysaying. She raises one eyebrow. Even this gesture is performed elegantly, then says,
My company is all that it takes to satisfy you. Then you are easy to please indeed. But please, do not rebuff me. I am offering because I wish to do this. Remember what I said. I do not say things for the sake of it.
well, you murmur if she really doesn't mind.
Of course I do not mind. Now, wait there. I will not be very long. It would be rude to abandon my new friend in the midst of a conversation.
Mermaid turns her attention towards the clear mirror-like water, which shimmers beneath the moonlight. Then she dives. Her body arches elegantly through to the air, her long, slender limbs cleaving through the surface of the water with a nary ripple. The mermaid's face is first submerged, then her torso, and at long last her tail. The water rushes forth to envelop her, as though it has been waiting for her. It subsumes her, it swallows her. Then she disappears from view. The mermaid is gone, but you are still there. Well, now what are you to do? There's nothing that can be done, you suppose, save waiting. You stand there for several moments, watching the black water lap against the shore. The breeze howls mournfully like a wounded animal, as it buffets your hair about your face and your torn skirt around your legs. Time elapses, but how much of it? You stand there fretfully, feeling as ostentatious as a maple. Will the mermaid return? Will she ever return? You're starting to worry. Is that all you do? When... Look! Over there, by the rocks upon which the mermaid once sat, the water is rippling. It looks as though your new friend has returned. The mermaid pulls herself onto the rocks with a surprising amount of upper body strength, then smiles at you.
I apologize for the wait. I hope I did not make you worry.
You were worrying, but you are not half so honest as the mermaid. Mermaids might be spoken of as devious tricksters who lure sailors to their deaths. They are, in actuality, very sincere. They are much more sincere than most humans. Perhaps that is why your kind fears them so. There are few creatures who inhabit this world whose capacity for lying is greater than your own. You tell the mermaid that you were not worrying, and she answers with a wry smile.
I'm not so sure about that.
The mermaid is wilier than you are giving her credit for. She has seen straight through you.
But no matter, it took me some time, but I was finally able to retrieve for you a gift. I do not have the means to turn this into a pretty piece of jewelry, as you did with the flowers, but I wish to give it to you nonetheless. I do hope that you like it.
The mermaid leans forwards, then holds the gift out towards you. Her slender fingers unfurl about it, like the petals of a flower being folded back, and... oh, what a pretty gift it is. The ocean might be dark, cold, and unfeeling, but the same cannot be said for the object which glitters upon the mermaid's palm. She has fished from the depths of the water a beautiful shell, one which shimmers prismatic colors beneath the moon's light, much like the scales of her tail. The shell is so very pretty, quite takes your breath away. You look at the shell worriedly, your teeth biting your lower lip. That is a bad habit, you know, you'll make yourself bleed. Then ask the mermaid if this is really alright. Would a gift like this not be wasted on you?
Of course not. I want you to have the shell because it makes me think of you.
It does? How so?
I thought it should be obvious. It's a lovely find.
Oh, shit.
As are you.
Oh. Did she just call you lovely? Surely you must have misheard her. You can scarcely believe it. It is an awful lot for you to take in, but...
Now, why are you gawping at me like that? The wind will change, you know, and your face will be stuck like that, which would be quite the shame. You would waste your good looks, which, for me and such of yourself, would be nothing short of a tragedy.
It seems though the mermaid really does think you're pretty after all. The mermaid with her smooth skin and her fair hair. You can scarcely believe it. There's something almost laughable about the mermaid's compliments. How could she call you pretty when her looks are so immediately obviously superior? Tongue-tied, you look at your feet. You do not know how to reply to the mermaid. You have half a mind to refute her words, to tell her that you are not that pretty, not really. But you fear that might look rude. You do not want to rebuff the mermaid's well wishes. There is nothing for it, then, but to take the shell which the mermaid retrieved from the ocean's depths for you. You do not think you are worthy of it, but neither do you want to refuse it.
Now, that is a surprise.
The mermaid is amused as you reach for the shell.
I did not think you would be bold enough to take it, without more coaxing on my part. You have exceeded my expectations. What a good girl you are. What a good girl you are.
Your heart flutters with this praise and it flutters all the more when your trembling fingers brush against the mermaid's palm. She presses the shell against your skin and your own fingers tighten about it. The shell is sharp and pointed and it digs uncomfortably into your skin. It hurts, but there is a... Is this MC a masochist? This too feels like a gift from the mermaid. You do not want to spurn it. Even pain can be a precious thing when dealt by one whom you care for. You never knew that before. You hold the shell to your heart, which is beating an irregular rhythm, and look at the mermaid. Very softly, you thank her.
It's quite alright. It seems only fair after you shared part of your world with me.
Para!
I wish to share part of my world with you, too.
Part of your...
Part of your world.
Huh?
Humans cannot normally descend beneath the ocean's depths, and even if they do, they cannot remain there for very long. You are far too fragile. If that I could, I would bring you with me to my underwater kingdom, where we might be together.
The mermaid's melodic voice trails away, suffused with something resembling melancholia. She sighs. Then she shakes her head and smiles.
This will have to do for the present. Please, take good care of that shell. Look at it from time to time, and think of me. That would make me very happy indeed.
Days pass following this nightly encounter with your aquatic acquaintance with an almost intolerable slowness. You endure the hours of sunlight as best you can, going for long, bracing walks amidst the heather, foraging for berries and fruits among the hedgerows. You even, when you mustered up enough courage, take an old fishing line uncovered in the fisherman's cottage and try your luck by shore. Your initial attempts at angling are without success, but as time passes, your proficiency in the art grows. Sometime after you take your rod, you are able to catch the odd fish here and there, small, scrawny things, but the meat goes away bolstering your rudimentary diet. Teach yourself how to remove the scales of these saltwater fish that you have captured and how to gut them. You learn too how to cook them over a simple fire. Sometimes you skewer these fish on spikes and roast them slowly, innards and all. You're able to sustain yourself well enough during the day, though the faint pangs of hunger you experience never quite go away. Your physical discomfort, however, is secondary when compared to your desire to visit the mermaid. What do mermaids eat? Your days might
Probably fish.
Fair. Your days might be dull and drab, but your nights, comparatively, are made of magic. It's only during the night that the mermaid emerges from beneath the waves, and when she does, you hurry to her side. You have never before had anybody who took so great an interest in you. Not until you met the mermaid. That is why she has grown to mean so very much to you. She's the first friend you have ever had. But if you do not temper your obsession accordingly, I fear she may very well be your last. You care for little potential danger, however, which lurks beneath your interactions with the mermaid. You want to only show the mermaid how much that you value her, and you hope, within time, that she will come to value you too. You only want to show the mermaid how much you value her, and you hope within time that she will come to value you too. If you keep seeing her, surely she will stop thinking of her human friend whom she lost so suddenly. That is your plan, at least. Fortunately, your self-serving wish to grow closer to the mermaid seems close to being granted. Your nightly conversations, when you greet her, come easily enough. The world's tumbling from your mouth like a thread. You have grown quite comfortable in the mermaid's company, and she yours. You must have, for it is not long after you bequeath your diadem of flowers to the mermaid that she looks at you, then posts a curious question.
I was wondering, dear one, whether you would mind indulging me. I know this might not seem like an appealing proposition. I thought it would be remiss of me to not to ask. I have seen some of your world, for I have sat on the shore for many, many nights hence. but you have seen nothing of mine. It seems unfair that I should know some of the world that you inhabit, while you know so little of my own. So, would you care to come with me, beneath the ocean's waves? There's much that I wish to show you, sights that cannot, I fear, be accurately represented in language alone. Words can be awfully stifling when it comes to communication of experiences such as this.
It's quite a flirt speech, but at the heart of it, beats a simple enough request. The mermaid wishes to bring you beneath the ocean's surface so that she might show you her home. You're flattered initially that the mermaid wishes to show you something so personal, but after this flutter of flattery, there's an uncomfortable sense of unease. The mermaid might feel at home beneath the water's surface, but what of you? You're a human girl with two awkward, ungainly legs, and you were not made to live under the sea. You frown, and mistrustfully you look at the ocean. It is late at night, as it always is when you speak to the mermaid. The water does not look blue. It appears instead to be obsidian. If only they were at a time where the oxygen tanks were a thing. You know? The waves moan as they break against the rocks, which jut out of the shore like a mighty dragon's bones. They sound angry, violent almost. The salty sea spray arcs through the air, caught in the moonlight. It shimmers sharp as knives. Hesitantly, take a step back. You're a little afraid of the sea. It is so restless, so deep, and so all-consuming. It reminds you of a hungry monster. You have never submerged yourself beneath the ocean before. You never had the opportunity. You do not know you do not even know how to swim. You are fearful for your own safety should you consent to dive beneath the undulating minutiae of the water, but
Do not look so frightened, dear one. I will be with you, and I will not let you go. I have my word.
shyly you glance at the mermaid. She is still perched upon her rock, her hands folded neatly upon her. Well, she does not have a lap. Not really. You're still afraid, but the mermaid's reassurance does help. Has she not told you numerous times that she is nothing if not honest? You trust her not to break her word. She will not leave you beneath the waves, abandoning you to a cruel fate to become food of so many fish. Of that you are certain. That is why, despite all your misgivings, you find yourself nodding your head. If that's what she wants, then you will accompany her. You are interested too in what lies beneath the ocean's surface, out of sight.
Oh, I knew that you would agree. Thank you very much for humoring me. I will endeavor to make these next few months the most memorable you have ever experienced. I feel like this is where the cannibal is going to be coming in.
No, I think this is where the affixation begins.
Now,
You know.
would you care to come with me? I shall be your guide.
You know, because water.
Ocean's depths might be dark, but I will not let you get away from me. I promise.
The mermaid extends her hand towards you, a hand which seems to cut through the moonlight, just like a blade. The moon's celestial rays play against the mermaid's upturned palm so that it shimmers. The mermaid's hair too is glowing, lit by Celen's glow, so that she almost looks like an angel. Her beauty is such that for a few moments you cannot do anything. Neither step towards her nor back away. You feel frozen in place, rooted into the sand like some shore-growing tree. Palm tree? You do not understand why the mermaid has taken such an interest in you, but an old adage does occur to you. You ought not look a gift horse in the mouth, or ignore the pleas of a graceful, dignified mermaid. You reach out, your arm shaking the skinny bow of an ancient tree, and find the mermaid's hand with your own. The mermaid's finger curl not your own, her nails, only now you notice how sharp they are. They're digging into your skin. Though the mermaid herself looks very soft, her grip is surprisingly strong. You do not think if she willed it, you would able to get away from her. But why would you want to? She does not mean you any harm.
Now, let us be on our way. There is much to see in my underwater kingdom. Cannot wait to show it to you.
Yes, Onyx, that is no mermaid. It's a siren. Well, technically she is a mermaid, but we're not male in this case, so I guess she's not a siren. The mermaid turns towards the ocean as the... Well,
I don't think they really care.
Fair. Okay, she's a siren then. A brief moment passes once, during which you allow yourself to stand there, your hand being claimed by the mermaids as the wind buffets your hair and your skirts. You inhale deeply. The smell of the salt is heavy in the back of your nostrils, so much so that you could choke on it. Not a particularly pleasant smell, but you have grown accustomed to it after living in your tumble-down cottage by shore. It's nostalgic almost. You have a vague feeling as you stand on the precipice between your world and that of your aquatic companions that you might never be able to smell the salt in the air like this. That is a silly supposition, though. You're being foolish. The mermaid will return you back to the surface in due course, will she not? You hope that she will. You, unlike her, cannot breathe underwater. You open your mouth meaning to ask the mermaid about this fact, but you are not afforded the opportunity to ask. The mermaid has already shifted, her fingers still twined about yours. She dives forward, her body slicing through the surface of the water like a knife, and you, inexorably, are dragged along with her. The water rushes forward to meet you in a sudden, shocking rush. The mermaid's descent might be graceful. Yours is anything but. You do not know how to position your legs, and your limbs feel awfully ungainly. The shock of the water as it touches your skin, meanwhile, is intense. More fishes! Look at it!
Fisher, fisher!
You do not think that the water would be this cold? No. It's not just cold, it's freezing. It feels as though all the warmth of which has been sapped out of your skin. Not gonna lie, the muffledness of her voice, including the water, is a great touch. If your head was not already beneath the ocean's waves, you would gasp from it. You do not gasp, however, you cannot. You've already been submerged. Your body no longer feels as though it is your own. Your hair is unspooling behind you like a thread and your skirt is fluttering. Your body rocks to and fro, as though being soothed by a mother's arms. It's a curious feeling, but it is not wholly unpleasant. If it were not so cold down here, beneath the ocean's depths, you might find it relaxing. It is dark under the surface of water, yes, but you have not ventured so very far. Not yet, at least. That the glow of the moon cannot penetrate its depths. Your surroundings are illuminated, though faintly thanks to the precious illumination. You can see schools of fish swimming about you. Their scales all glisten as they arc through the waves like rainbows. They do not like life forms. They appear instead to your fairy tale addled mind to be ancient relics brought to life through some strange arcane sorcery. They are pretty. No, that word is not significant enough. They are beautiful. You did not know as you stood upon the shore how they are full of light. It was beneath the water's surface. You did not know either how very beautiful these aquatic denizens of the deep were. You have never seen fish like these before, not in your life. You have memories, vague, hazy memories of dissecting fish once, in a particularly gruesome biology lesson, but that feels like a very long time ago now. You would far rather think on your present than dwell upon the past. Seconds pass as they do, the mermaid continues swimming, leading you deeper and deeper into the ocean's depths. While once you were close enough to the surface of that moon's light could still slice through the waves, it is now so very dark you can scarcely see. Your vision is beginning to blur. You can feel an uncomfortable pressure weighing down on your inert body. You have descended, you realize, with a ripple of anxiety, too deep. Humans were not meant to descend into these depths. The water, once cold, now feels freezing. It caresses every inch of your exposed flesh, as if it were to sap what little warmth you might still possess. You shiver, and when you do, you swear that you can hear your teeth chattering, despite the water which stops your ears. The water is stopping up your nostrils. There is so much water down here at the bottom of the ocean, it is endless. The mermaid might be able to breathe underwater, but you are not very fortunate. Your body is far less sophisticated than hers. It requires oxygen, which to furnish your body with continued strength, not salt water. The thought of trying to inhale the endless water which surrounds you makes you shudder. You would rather not attempt it. You do not have gills. When will the mermaid take you back to the surface? Surely she must know that you have fast begun nearing your limit. You have been under the water for too long. It is too cold and it is so dark now. In any event, you cannot see much of anything. The joy you once felt during your underwater adventure has begun to dissipate, just like the last of the oxygen you still possess. It is time to return to the surface now. But how are you to communicate to the mermaid? You cannot speak. She is not looking at you. She's staring instead fixedly at something beyond your comprehension. Something far away, perhaps in the water. Underwater, gloom that you cannot see. Not knowing what else to do, you try to pull your arm free from the mermaid's grasp. You hope that this will signal to her that she has grown too carried away in her endeavors, that she ought to cut short your expedition and return you to the shore. The mermaid does not react, however, to your attempts to escape her. Her grip does not slacken as your hope from about your wrist. In fact, it is quite the opposite. It feels as though she's gripping you more tightly than she was, as if to prevent your escape. But why would she do that? You tap on the mermaid's shoulder to get her attention, a gesture which prompts her at long last to turn. Her fair hair billows about her, suspended in the water like a shroud. Then she says in that calm, measured, incredibly reasonable voice of hers,
Yes, dear one? What is it?
if you could, you would open your mouth to reply to her, but alas, you are a human girl, not a fish. You cannot speak underwater. Any attempt to do so will accomplish not save filling your pretty little mouth with water. The mermaid really ought to have considered that before she started to ask you questions, but comfort seems to be the last thing on the mermaid's mind. She smiles at you gently, delicately, then says,
I understand. Being underwater for so long must be taking its toll. Your lungs feel like iron? Are they heavy?
she does understand your woes. You might not be able to speak suspended as you are in the dark, murky depths, but communication is not wholly impossible. You nod your head empathetically, hoping this will be enough to make your distress apparent, but
Yes, that will happen. It is a natural part, or so I have heard, of drowning. Not that I have ever had the opportunity to experience it for myself. I am incapable, you see, of meeting my demise in such a manner.
now, what was that? What could she mean?
I mean,
The mermaid answers, can she read minds?
that this was a calculated act upon my part.
Is it just me, or this whole thing is getting grayer?
Did. Forgive me, dear one. The moment you consented to sinking beneath the water with me, your fate was sealed. Your lungs will be flooded with water soon enough, and you will die. It's not a pretty way to go. You needn't worry about your corpse bloating, disfiguring, or being eaten by fish, though. I'll take very good care of it. I promise. You will look lovely, most angelic. Is that not what you always wanted?
You do not know what the mermaid thinks it is exactly that you want, but you think she's laboring under some severe misunderstanding. You would like to try to correct her. You do not want to die, but of course you cannot open your mouth. What a pity. Well, at least it saves me the effort of transcribing your dying pleas. I doubt they would be very particularly interesting.
If you want to know why I'm doing this, I would not mind obliging. I have no secrets to keep from you.
Other than the secret, perhaps, that upon your first meeting she nursed within her cold fish's heart the desire to bring about your watery murder? You might have liked to know that before you agreed to sink beneath the ocean surface with her.
I am only doing this because I have no choice. The other girl I liked, after all, the one whom I adored, disappeared. She went away. I was never afforded the opportunity to see her. Remind me of that girl, though you do not look alike. You do not act very alike either. You are both humans who, despite your delicacies, have no shortage of determination. How your kind is able to live and your lifespans are so very short, you are susceptible to so very many diseases, is a mystery to me. Though my lifespan far eclipses your own, and I am far sturdier, I cannot help but marvel at the tenacity of you humans. I know that if I were as fragile as you, I would not be able to exist in this world. I would be far too afraid. I would see my own death lurking behind every corner.
Just as you can see your own death looming before you. It is not so very far away now. You can feel it coming closer and closer, and closing its cold, icy fingers around your throat.
You humans are incredible. I cannot help but respect you, weak and pitiful though you are.
I hate drowning because I've already drowned when I was a child. She respects your tenacity so much she wishes to extinguish it? That does not make very much sense.
Perhaps my words are confusing you. It makes perfect sense, to me at least. My beloved cowherd left me. I do not know where she went or what happened to her. Perhaps she was murdered by bandits. Perhaps she contracted a horrible disease. Perhaps she simply fell and cracked her skull. I do not know. I will never know. For many, many days and many, many nights, her disappearance tormented me. I could not help but wonder how it came about. There are so many possibilities, I could not imagine all of them. This thought terrified me. It still does. That is why I am going to take you to my underwater kingdom with me. There we can be together forever. Nothing will be able to tear us apart then. I will brush your hair. I will dress you in the finest pearls found from the bottom of the seabed. It'll be lovely, much lovelier than any sort of miserable existence you might be able to eke out above the water. In my citadel, you'll never be attacked by bandits, nor ravaged by diseases. You'll be quite safe, I promise.
Quite safe, yes, and quite dead too, surely.
Well, yes, that's the only unfortunate aspect of my plan.
She considers your death nothing more than a mere misfortune? The mermaid might be surprisingly cold after all, but perhaps you have ought to predict this. She is part fish. Are fish not cold-blooded like lizards? You probably learned this at some point during biology class, but your lessons are beginning to feel very faint and far away now. Your body is beginning to fail you. Cannot take much more of this.
It is a necessary sacrifice, though, if we are to be happy. I'm doing this, you know, for both our sakes. I do apologize for tricking you, but please, try to understand. I really have been lonely.
Would be more inclined to sympathize with her, perhaps if her loneliness was not ushering in your inevitable demise. But you are too preoccupied with your dwindling reserves of oxygen to feel much in the way of anything for your captor. You can feel the pressure of the water against your eyes. They are beginning to ache. Perhaps you are crying. You do not know. The water masks much of your anguish. You have been drifting underwater for almost 3 minutes. That is a remarkably long time to go without any air. Your vision is beginning to cloud. Your surroundings already look darker, still unpleasant and obscure, and not all like the paradise the mermaid promised you. The pain of being suffocated is far stronger and far more oppressive than the sensation of the mermaid's hand wound tightly about your arm. Is there no escape for you? The prognosis, I'm sorry to say, is grim. Your fate, as the mermaid said, really was sealed the moment you met her, luxuriating on those rocks beneath the moonlight. But you'll forgive me if my sympathy is limited. You did bring this upon yourself, you know. You reap what you sow, and in your case, you made a series of bad decisions which led to your untimely demise. Now, what do you want to do? Will you accept this fate of yours and rest in peace? Or will you try to fight against it? You know, we can only fight, really. I like the look on your face. It is a look full of determination. The self-same determination which first prompted me to take an interest in you. I can tell that you are not happy with this ending. You did not come all of this way after all to drown. That is quite the indecorous demise, regardless of how many fine stones and shells the mermaids means to twine through your hair after your death. If you wish to carve out a new story for yourself, then I would be only too happy to indulge you. Just try not to get on the bad side, or good side. Any homicidal naiads this time? Oh, so she's a naiad! She's a Wait, what's the difference between a naiad and a...
Oh, naiads and nereids are both types of water spirits. One is for salt water, the other is for fresh water.
Naiad and what?
Huh?
Wait, what did you say? A naiad and...
Nereid.
How do you spell that?
Nereid.
I see.
Basically, they're both water spirits. Or specifically water nymphs, which are nature spirits. They originally from
Thank you for the water redeem. I mean, my water's downstairs. Should I get... Drowning of fair maidens is something of a cliche. Your fate is once again in your hands. Now I wonder, which path would you take?
I mean, you've only got one other choice, so...
So you want to go to the castle? Good idea. All these fairy tales tend to conclude in castles once they're beleaguered. Upon heroines are finally able to wed handsome princes they once dreamed of. Why bother trying your luck with the shore, which may very well be deserted, or the village will be full of dirty, barefoot hells? It is far better to skip the suffering and go straight to the grand finale. That is very astute of you. I did not realize you had it in you to be so mercenary. I can only wonder what you will uncover during your moonlight meanderings. The night is far from over, and your adventures are only just beginning. I only hope that you have brushed upon your courtesies. They might come in handy when one is interacting with a sovereign. Royals are temperamental, after all. If you fail to treat them with the requisite amount of respect, you might come to regret it. Follow the path leads to the castle, supporting yourself on weary aching ledge. It feels ready at a moment's notice to detach from your hips. You are little more than a wisp of a girl, but you have been running for so very long. Your feet are so very numb. You feel like a great lumbering thing, clumsy and ungainly, The soles of your feet are screaming at you. You need to lie down, quickly. You only hope as you continue to run that you will find a spare room available for you in the castle. You do not know what exactly will await you at the castle, but you have visions as you run of a vast, opulent dwelling. This dwelling will surely be full of finely furnished rooms in which you might rest a weary head. There will be also a king and a queen inside this castle, you ponder, who will be kind and wise. But what if there are children? What of a princess? Every good castle must possess a princess who will take pity on you and your plight. You can imagine the face of this generous princess with ease, thanks to the fairy tales you read in abundance as a small child. The princesses will be fair of hair and blue of eye, with soft pink lips pursed like rosebuds. Her limbs will be slender, her hands dainty and unsullied from physical labor, and her sensibilities will be sweeter than marzipan. Marzia? She will be kind to you and compassionate, just like an older sister. You do not know what older sisters are like, though.
It's a type of dessert.
Yeah, I know. But you know, marzipai, you know? Marzia? No? Hey. Or younger sisters, for that matter. You're only guessing. You're not a complete fool, however, despite your tendency to daydream. But you do have a few reservations. Monarchs not, as you know, for vicarious reading, have the best track record when it comes to caring for the peasantry. Was there not a very famous queen who once said with a cavalier wave of her hand that the hungry peasants in her kingdom should count themselves with cake if bread was not an option? You think that this might be a misquote, but the point still stands. The royals are supposed to grant their subjects succor in their time of need. This does not always happen. In fact, it rarely even happens. Kings and queens and princesses and princes are just people at the end of the day, and they are subject to the same caprices that all humans are. Ah, fuck. They can also be careless, selfish, and inconsiderate. There's no guarantee that this mythical princess of your imagination will help you. Why, there is no guarantee that this mythical princess exists at all. Still, you must try. It is this hope which keeps you going. You continue to run to the castle, but it takes some time before you can finally emerge from the woods. But finally, you do it. How much time, you ask? Yep, same line. Forest is behind you now, at least, and all the awful nightmares which dwelt within it. It is still cold though, and foggy, and very, very dark. The sun has yet to rise. Yep, same line. The moonlight shines down upon the castle, which looms in front of you like a cliffside. Wow. The stone edifice of the building is imposing, and it drowns you in the shadows, darker than the depths of the deepest ocean. The castle is not all dark, though. Not like the night sky above it. When you crane your head, you can see that there are lights flickering within, in the narrow slitted windows. It would appear that somebody is home. The king and the queen, perhaps? What of their servants? Perhaps more pressingly of their guards. You have to expect as you stand there that armored knights will accost you for daring to approach the castle of a king and queen so-and-so. Do you not know your place, foolish peasant girl with the dirty skirt? Begone with you! You're not, of course, a peasant. Your family is a wealthy one, or rather, they were. Before your father made a series of poor financial decisions. You do not look like a young lady right now, though. Your dirty face and your dirty skirt, which is torn at the hem. If any guards were to take you for a vagrant, it would be not surprising. But though you stand there dithering, your filthy finger hooked in front of your filthy skirt, you do not hear any cries. Nobody sounds the alarm. Lights might be inside the castle, but there's nobody outside of this perimeter standing sentry. There's nobody to impede your entry, and the elaborate iron gates, which are set to vast stone walls about the castle exterior, are open just a crack. It would be trivial to slip inside. There is nobody to stop you. Why are you trembling now, you silly thing? You have come so very far. It would be an act of foolishness to turn around now. Go on, go. You inhale, perhaps in an attempt to screw up your courage, which has long last begun to fail you. Then you step forwards. You slide between the wrought iron gate, as stealthy as secretive as a thief, and cross the path which leads you up the tall, imposing structure. The domed doorway which leads to the castle itself, hewn from stone, is closed, but at a push of your palm it swings inwards. The door creaks alarmingly as it opens, the sound loud enough to split the silence like a thunderclap. You inhale at this and glance around, your eyes darting hither and thither. Whoa! That looks familiar in a way. I mean, it is a castle. If there are any guards posted about the castle grounds, they should have been alerted by that sound. Will they come for you at long last? What will happen should they catch you? Will they throw you into dungeons? That does not sound like a pleasant way to spend the night. At least you would have a roof over your head though, and you would not have to keep walking. Your feet really do ache. You stand there for an interminable amount of time, your heart pounding a irregular rhythm in the base of your throat. But no matter how much time elapses, no guards come. You're thankful for your good luck, but it doesn't make you wonder, where is everybody? Why, it is almost as if all the people in the world have disappeared. Could you be the very last human left alive? You frowned and pressed the palm back against the door. You pushed less cautiously this time, heedless of the loud sound which splits the silence. There's no point in worrying about the guards, not when they might very well be non-existent. Wow. Your entry to the castle secure, you then take a step forwards. The door shuts behind you, and the resultant slam makes you jump. You did not expect it. Your heart knocks against your ribs, and with wild eyes you glance about. You're standing in a vast entrance hall made of stone which splits off into many number of passages. At the end of every hall, meanwhile, there is a large elaborate staircase, which one seems to extend to the heavens themselves. It is dark inside the hall, but there are numerous torches set in scones in the stone wall, which are aflame. They offer some relief from the shadows. You can hear the faint sound of the wind outdoors as it moans against the castle's impervious walls, but you cannot hear any footsteps. You cannot hear any voices. You cannot, more importantly, hear any people. Maybe the castle is empty? If that's the case though, then who lit these torches? It is a curious conundrum. You muster up what remains of your courage, then you cry out, addressing the empty hall in a tremulous voice which fails to properly fill up the space. Fuck. I accidentally did that. Hello? You say, your eyes wide. Is anybody there? Your voice echoes the vast empty hall, but it is met yet again with silence. You cannot say that you are too surprised, but it's not disappointing. Not one to be deterred, you try again and again, your voice growing much louder with subsequent attempt. No matter how loud your voice, however, it fails to reach any ears. If anybody is here, they do not seem particularly sociable. That, or perhaps they cannot simply hear you. Could they be in another room? Yes, that must be it. Will you ever find a pretty fairy tale princess of your imagination if you stand idle, you know? It's time to get to work. Put those legs of yours to good use. Not knowing what else to do, is there anything else you can do? You begin to explore. You examine rooms first on the ground floor of the castle, which are of similar scale to an impressive entrance hall, large and richly furnished, but utterly unoccupied. After some time of endless meandering, encountering nobody save the ghosts of aeons past memorialized on portraits upon the wall, you muster up the courage to ascend to the second floor. Wow, that's a armor. This floor too you examine, wandering through the seemingly endless series of hallways until long last, you find a door which is ajar. From the crack in the door and the jamb, you can see flickering light. Irregular, yes, but it is light nonetheless. Could it be from a fireplace? That would suggest then that this room is occupied, unlike all the others. Perhaps the kindly princess you dreamed of will be awaiting you in this room. It is with a trembling hand that you press your palm against the door, you push it. Ah, this is a very nice bedchamber. Then you step inside the bedchamber, which unveils itself to you. Shyly, you stand in the threshold of the chamber, much to your courage extinguished, and gasp. The bedroom itself is gorgeous. It is a chamber so luxuriant, not even the shadows can obscure the fine craft of the furniture within it, nor the rich patterns of walls. It is the girl inhabiting the chamber, however, who truly takes your breath away. Sitting upon the velveting sheets of the towering
she's spiky.
Yeah. Towering poster.
Oh, I think this is the cannibal. I mean, full screen the picture.
Like this?
Oh, like, yeah, like, do the white spikes not look like sharp teeth?
Yeah, they do. Sitting upon velveteen sheets of the Tower 4 poster is a girl in a sumptuous red gown. Celivilis. I think is that how you say it. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't know. Is that a good idea? I don't think that's a good idea.
I mean, better that we eat her than she eats us.
In a sexy way or in a kind of...
I mean...
I vote we... I can give her candies. Oh, well, sure. What?
What do you think, Mochi?
In a sexy way. Both? God damn! Sitting upon the velveteen sheets of Atari 4 poster, I think I already read that. A girl in a sumptuous red gown who seems to be like of age to you. You do not have a clear view of the girl's face. Her head is bowed. Her gaze directed downwards at her lap. You can tell from her hair, however, and from her slender calves, which protrude beneath the hem of her dress, that she is very pretty. Her hair is golden, just like freshly cut wheat, but it is the red of her dress which truly captures your attention. She is so striking, you cannot look away from her. Jesus Christ! Jesus! The girl is not alone in her chamber either. She has a companion, though this companion is not half so endearing as she. In her lap, perched up on her velvet skirt, is a doll. The doll's hair are that of her mistress. It is golden, though much of it is hidden beneath a bonnet. The girl is adjusting the china teacup held in the doll's tiny hand, while the rim of the cup glints in the light which exudes from the fireplace. It's red from the... well, if it's red velvet, wouldn't it be having blood stains and it would smell rotten? Or something? If the girl is similar age to you, it seems strange that she would content herself by playing with dolls. She's not too old for it. The girl would be more at home, you decide, at the ball, wearing an extravagant gown, speaking with wealthy noblemen, perhaps even princesses. She should not be sitting in what you presume is her bedchamber, adjusting a teacup doll in a doll's hand. but you are not afforded much more time to stand there marveling at the girl because she turns. She raises her head. Ah. Then her eyes meet yours. You thought the girl pretty when you first observed her sitting on the edge of her plush velveteen bed examining her doll. Now she's looking at you, however, her face illuminated by the flames in their grate. You can see that you were mistaken. She's not just pretty. She is beautiful. So much so, it's breathtaking. My character is literally a lesbian. It's just like, you're so pretty. Hand, please. She looks as though she has stepped out of the pages of a picture book. She's simply too perfect to belong to this world. Perhaps she's some kind of... But no, she is none of those things. The doll in her lap is cold. Hard thing made of porcelain, and it's unflinchingly, reassuringly real. If she were a mirage, surely she will not be able to hand physical objects such as this. It is strange, though. The doll, though immaculately made, looks oddly imperfect when compared to the girl who's holding it. She's so startlingly beautiful. She even puts man-made representations of feminine charms to shame. The sight of her makes you feel rather weak. You have always had a fondness of fair maidens, haven't you?
Getting called out.
I mean, I have a fondness of fair whoever the fuck. Pansexual here. Hello? You're rather hopeless when it comes to them, even worse than a knight errant from a courtly legend. Your aesthetic appreciation is not particularly ladylike, but, well, it is not every day a girl encounters an elegantly beauty such as this, attired in red, illuminated by the firelight. So I suppose I can forgive you for this rudeness, as too can the girl. She does not seem to be the type to hold... Ah! She has red nails! Oh, she literally said that. The girl says in a voice that's surprisingly enough far less refined than her appearance.
It is good to see you. I have been waiting.
Has she? That is news to you. You blink perplexed, a response on the tip of your tongue, but you are unable to expel it to the aether. The girl is setting her doll aside, then she stands at the hem of her dress, swishing about her legs. Nimbly, like a ballerina, she canvases the space between you. Her room is so very large, there's quite a lot of space. And takes your hand in there. Yeah, that's blood, all right, right there, right there, right there.
Yeah, I mean, did I not say earlier that the spikes on her dress look like teeth?
Yeah, but like, I would have forgiven it, but then there is blood at the bow at her.
Yeah. You must. You're my new lady's maid. It's been a while, but it's such a relief that you finally arrived. I knew that you would. You'd never leave me alone. Not when you knew how long I was waiting. Oh, I'm so happy.
The girl's mood is contagious, so much so you find yourself being swept away in it.
I would be sass.
You are tempted to accept any identity she might press upon you. You have never been maid before, but you might not mind being this girl's maid. She does not seem like a poor mistress to serve, not if she's always this kind. You cannot mask the confusion, however, which flickers across your face. You're not a good enough actress, and in any case, this is all happening too quickly. Why? You barely know this girl. Why is she being so very familiar? It is blank, bovine eyes that you examine the girl. Your befuddlement is pronounced enough even the girl, despite her good mood, notices it. She frowns. She's kinda cute though. Look at... Then she says, her fingers sliding away from your own.
Or am I mistaken? Are you not my new lady's maid after all?
The disappointment in the girl's face is abundant, so much so your heart clenches. You do not know her. She is a stranger, but you are struck all of a sudden with the intense desire to appease her. You do not want to let her down. The thought is devastating. You were not aware. You tell her that you applied to be her maid, but if that's what she wills, you would not be opposed to it. You pray that she forgives you, though, for your discombobulation. You have come from the distant country, and you have traveled for so many miles. And you know not where you are, and you do not know who she is.
What? You don't know who I am?
It is regrettable, you tell her, but no, you do not know her, though it's no fault of her own. Why, you've spent such a long time running, you hardly even know yourself.
Ah, so you're a fugitive. Then, from another country? I see. I will pry into your past then, if you'd rather forget about it. I just care about that you satisfy my hunger. I don't mind sharing my past with you, though. Everybody in this country knows who I am, after all. Or at least they should.
Now this is the quite impressive boast. If it were come from the lips of another, you would find it unpleasantly arrogant. You do not think, however, that this girl is trying to show off. You get the feeling instead that she's merely telling the truth.
If you don't have the pleasure of knowing me, then allow me to do the honors.
She had red nails and now it's black. Interesting.
My father and mother were the queen of this realm, and I am a princess. I've lived in this castle all my life, so I don't know much about the outside world, but I do know that other countries do exist out there. I presume it's from one of these foreign countries that you come from. It is very good to meet you. I've always wanted to talk to somebody from overseas. It feels like quite the opportunity.
The girl.
All right, let's think of a name for her.
Wait, we didn't think of a name of the mermaid.
She was too pretty to have a name.
Okay, never mind. The girl giggles at this and you smile in response.
Well, since I'm assuming that this is the cannibal girl, how about we name her Agana, which means blood?
Okay, Agana. Hey, my love. Toga is going to bed. Hope you have a wonderful stream, and I love you so much. Thank you, Toga! Rest well. Sleep well. Ah! Ah! Wait. I will. Okay. You tell her unthinkingly that it's your pleasure really to meet her, or at least you mean to. You only get halfway through this remark when the full gravity of what this girl has told you sinks in. You come to a stop, then you stare. Did she just say she was a princess? Only because you will be at my dreams. I doubt that. I think it'll be something else. But who knows?
Yes, that's right. I'm a princess, and one day I'll be a queen, after I've done a little bit of growing up. The ministers don't think I'm ready to run the country just yet, but I've been doing my best at my lessons.
Wow, she looks sassy here. Feisty.
One day, I'm sure I'll be the best queen there ever was.
See you, Toga! So she really is a princess. That makes sense. You suppose given she lives in a castle. But it comes as a surprise regardless. You hadn't known before you entered this chamber that you were trespassing on a lady of such great renown. Why, if she willed it, she could have executed for your carelessness. An ugly red flush creeps up your face. A flush which is far more lucrative than the princess's dress. As you look to your feet, bashfully you stammer out a new address that you are very sorry for intruding upon her, and you hope that she can forgive you.
Oh, it's alright. Think nothing of it. I don't mind, really. We all make mistakes. And anyway, you weren't to know. You said you weren't from around here.
Huh. She is right. Like, damn. She's a... Okay. You nod your head in silent affirmation. It isn't a complete lie. You are really not from this country. You are not from this world at all.
How wonderful. I look forward to picking your brain later. All of my servants come from the nearby village. Their tales are all the same, and so are their superstitions. I could go with a breath of fresh air.
She looks cute here.
She is sassy. My last lady's maid told me I was too impetuous. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting a bit of adventure. Not that I've ever been afforded much of that. I've been shut up in here for so long. For so long, hardly ever get the chance to talk to other girls my age. The last lady's maid was older than me, and so was the one before her, and the one before her.
Some of the princess's fair mood seems to dissipate as she speaks, her expression turning by degrees into something more pensive.
But I haven't seen any of my old lady's maids in a while, or any of the other servants for that matter.
Well, that's fair. Really.
They've all disappeared.
Again, fair. Oh, fuck. Now, that's quite curious. How could a whole household full of servants simply just disappear?
That I don't know. This castle was full of servants once. My lady's maids, and my undermaids, and my scullery maids, and my housekeeper, and my cooks, and a large variety of retainers. She ate them all.
Or something. Or the plague. Maybe. I don't know.
They're all gone now, though. I think my ministers must have sent them away. I don't know why they would have done that, though. Didn't explain it to me. But then again, they never explained anything to me. They still treat me like a little girl. Just so tiring.
Sometimes you're just very honey. Okay. She said that her minister sent her servants away. What of her parents, the king and queen? Would they not be the ultimate authorities in this castle's hierarchy?
They would, yes, if they were still alive. But they're not. They died a long time ago. I was raised for most of my life by my servants.
Oh, you answered any flush. You hadn't known.
It's alright. You don't need to apologize. I'm just happy that I have you now. I was getting sick of tired of only having my dolls to speak to. They aren't the best conversational partners.
You can imagine so, yes. You don't get any doll, even one made by a talented artisan, with an intelligent face indistinguishable from a human's, would be very good at answering back.
Oh no, they aren't. They're hopeless at it, really. They're so stony-lipped. You have no idea how much of a relief it is to see you. The castle is so big. Without my servants, it feels so very empty. It gets so lonely here.
What are these sounds I'm hearing? It's my mochi
noises.
It's essentially a redeem that you could do. And when you redeem it, I do those sounds. I just really like nibbling my stuffies. That's why I make those sounds. Yeah, I did my very first work. That's good. Congrats. I see this. But yeah.
Hello, Salamander.
Hi, Sarah. How did it go?
Smudgy has the most adorable noises.
It was super easy, but well, at least you'll get money from it. Oh, that's an interesting turn of phrase. It catches. Okay. Princess is speaking anew, that curiously conversational manner of hers, but doesn't seem particularly princessy. Maybe she learned how to speak from her servants. That would explain why her consonants are so unrefined.
Oh, but listen to me. Yammering on again. It's a bad habit. I really must put a stop to it. You're probably tired, dear one, from your travels. Would you like me to show you to your room? Yes. I think I'll do just that. I might show you a bit around the castle first, though. It's like a maze in here, and I wouldn't want you getting lost.
Alice is like so boring, I was starting to fall asleep. Oh. Is it the mochi squeak? Yes.
You'll be staying here for quite some time, after all.
When I'm super duper hyper, it sounds like this. But I think it's more of me not getting enough sleep and not. It reminds me of play exactly. That's why people literally say it's either windshield wiper, squeaky toy, literally everything. Princess then hastes to take you on a tour of our home. Fortunately, she does not show you all the rooms in her abode, and neither does she offer very long descriptions as to what the few rooms she does show you are used for. She does, however, pause by the kitchens, whereat she offers you some victuals. Once the growling in her belly has been satisfied, the princess then resumes on her journey. She leads you down a dark, twisting hallway and a series of equally dark, twisting steps until she arrives, at long last, before a door. The princess pushes this door aside summarily, thus permitting you to entrance to a small, humble bedchamber. This chamber is not so half opulent as the grand bedroom in which the princess resides, with its resplendent four-poster and its richly patterned wallpaper. This room's ceiling is not as high, and the singular bed shoved against the wall is thin and narrow. The walls are unassuming beige, and the floor beneath your soles is of warped wood. There's a Malador scent too, which hangs in the air, one of the zoos and You get the feeling that nobody has slept in this room for quite some time. That might explain why it feels so very cold in here, though if the princess's tour of her castle has taught you anything, it is that it's cold in every room in her abode.
Now here we are, the final stop of our tour. This will be your room, dear one. I hope it's to your liking.
The princess, despite her exalted status, seems somewhat uneasy as she observes you, her eyes upturned like those of loyal dogs. Is she concerned about your reaction to this room? Perhaps she's afraid you will turn up your nose at her kindness. For Princess, she's awfully eager to please. This is unexpected contrast between the lofty princess's lofty title and her integrating attitude that makes you smile. The room is rather scanty, yes, but when it comes to its contents, it is more than passable. It has a roof and 4 walls. Though it's cold, you fancy you'll feel warmer once you have slipped beneath the bed sheets. The room is not quite so fancy as your dormitory at the conservatoire, and neither is it so large, but it does have one glaring improvement over your previous lodgings. You'll not be expected to share it with anybody else. There's only one bed in this room, and this bed belongs to you. You think that peace and quiet will do you good? A world of good. You tell the princess as much as she smiles.
Now that's good. I was so worried you wouldn't like it. I know it isn't much to look at, but it's one of the nicest servants' rooms we have in the castle. Most of the maids sleep beneath the roof in this teeny tiny room, which is all cramped. There's tons of beds up there, and they're so close together, there's barely any room to pass between them. I thought it was perfectly ghastly when I saw it. Last time I went up there, I thought I was supposed to be up there. It was a rainy day, I couldn't go outdoors, so I was doing a bit of exploring. If the housekeeper had known I'd been skulking around, I don't think she would have been best pleased. Well, in any case, nobody sleeps up there anymore. The scullery maids are all gone now. Couldn't put you up there, though, in the attic with all those empty beds. I didn't think it'd be very cheery. You're not just a scullery maid, you're my lady's maid. That means you deserve good lodgings. It'd be an insult to offer you any less than this. Now, it's getting late. You have to forgive me for rabbiting on. I've heard it's a thing I tend to do. It's a bad habit. But that's unbecoming for a lady. The housekeeper's warned me enough times.
You reassure the princess to the contrary, smiling as you do so. You do not mind if she talks too much. That is better than not talking at all. Her affable nature makes it easier to spend time with her. Manners be damned! You're always scolded too back in the conservatoire for your behavior. You know full well how aggravating it can be to be upbraided not for any particular misdemeanor, but for being yourself.
Oh, well, I'm glad you understand.
Princess answers with a giggle.
I really should be off, though. It's bad manners to keep you, especially when you look so sleepy. Get some rest. We can talk more tomorrow if you don't mind my ceaseless prattle. I'm glad you seem to appreciate it, at least. Oh, I'm sure you'll get tired of it eventually. All my old maids did.
The princess departs, and in her absence you take a seat upon your bed. Your new bed. Cannot help but think that this is all happening very quickly. It does not seem like very long ago that you were still in the forest running for your life amongst all the tall imposing trees with their gnarled, grasping branches. Is that what, is why she, huh? Hey? Wait, what? Wait, what happened? Oh, this. Because they got tired of, You are indoors in this house. Unless you have been given a room in which to sleep and the clothes that you might wear. They are tired of... It seems premature still to declare that you are out of the woods, in a metaphorical sense, I mean. But things could certainly be worse. You force yourself to stand on legs which are too weary to support you, and change into the night clothes hanging in the wardrobe. The night clothes do not fit you perfectly, but you are too tired to care about that. You are too tired to care about much of anything. You retreat to the bed and slide beneath its sheets. Then you let your eyelids fall shut. You exhale, and lulled by the breeze which blows outdoors, you fall asleep. You're so very tired. Your sleep is deep, darker than the first abysses of nighttime. What you really care about? Well, her clothes are muddy and dirty. Like at the nighttime sky, however, which shimmers with the stars, your sleep is not devoid of those prismatic fragments you humans call dreams. Though in this case, I'd rather think your nocturnal imaginings are worth rather more than that. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, it's okay. They are not dreams, are they? To which slumbering mind is subjected. You know they are not. Otherwise, your body would not be so very cold, not so clammy. The images flickered beneath your closed eyelids. The ghostly images in a phenakistoscope were not conjured from within your mind. They were instead taken from your memories. You are not merely dreaming, you are remembering. You remember the girls who slept in your dormitory and how they always hastened to use the shower first, so you were last for breakfast. You remember how, when you finally did arrive at the dining hall, that the most desirable morsels had already been snaffled up by the girls who got there earlier. You struggled too to find a seat. Once you finally did get your hands on some food, because nobody ever wanted to sit with you. The other girls all acted like you were leavers, save for when they wanted favors. Yeah, they never asked for these favors. Mind, for why would they? To them, your father's prestige did not matter. They were all wealthy ladies too, many of them wealthier than you. When everybody has airs and graces of princesses, how's anybody supposed to stand out? You stood out the least in your class, perhaps because you were one of the smallest, the frailest, the sickliest, who always came down with colds in the winter. Your poor health did not stop the other girls treating you as a servant, though. But they remembered that you existed, of course. It was a whole lot of your life as you dwelt within the stone walls of the conservatoire, to carry school bags across the field like a pack mule. Then come in the evenings, the girls in your dormitory had you sewing on missing buttons and ironing out the creases and wrinkles in their uniforms. If there was an odd job that needed performing, you would always be asked. But these girls did not ask you. That would have been too civilized. They ordered you instead, and as they ordered you, they laughed at you. They laughed and laughed and laughed and laughed. The laughter hurt, but it hurt considerably less than the kicks did, the slaps and the pitches. Once during an embroidery lessons, one of your classmates had an accident with her sewing scissors. She stumbled, or at least she pretended to, and before you knew it, the silvery blades of the scissors were embedded in your left palm. This happened quite some time ago, when you were even littler than you are now, but you can still remember it. It hurt a lot. When the scissors were sharp, they perforated your skin, not all the way down to the bone, but enough to bleed. Your wound bled bright red like strawberry jam all over your embroidery. Then your professor saw it. She shrieked. Her face turned pale as what she way, and she looked for a few moments as though she might faint, though you were the one who was in pain. Your professor looked at your face, then demanded why you cannot be more careful. Her tone had been an accusatory tone, almost as you had stabbed yourself in the hand with your sister to goad her. The pain in your hand hurt, but the giggles of your persecutors hurt all the more. Damn, if someone did that to me, I would have stopped. They were never punished for that. Well, I would have been angry. Perhaps your professor did not care enough to punish them. Perhaps she, like everybody else, thought it was all your fault. The wound, when it was all said and done, was not too deep. You did not even need any stitches. It healed well enough in time on its own, though it still left a scar. A white raised thing like a crescent moon. You still have that scar. You do not know how much blood you lost, but it seemed like a lot back in the classroom. But it could not have been that much, evidently. If you would have been more serious, perhaps your professor might have cared. Perhaps your classmates too would have felt some modicum of guilt over what they did. But this seems very unlikely. You know that your blood meant nothing to your classmates. Why should it? If you meant next to nothing, then your blood in your veins was even more inconsequential. God damn! Long last, you do not remember what you dreamt, but you do not think your dreams were particularly pleasant nature. If they were, your heart would not be hammering so. You let easy glance around. You're lying in a narrow bed in an unremarkable room, one with dull beige walls and a warped wooden floor. Where exactly are you? This does not look like a dormitory in the conservatoire, unless it has shrunk threefold overnight. Your brow furrows as you attempt to recall the events of the night prior, until with a gasp, it all clicks into place. You remember now, you were running through the woods trying to escape from... You shudder. You do not want to think of what it was you were trying to escape from. You presume you must have given your hunter the slip, though, because you are still in one piece, awake and alert enough to face the dawning of a new morning. You still have all of your limbs, and your facial features appear to be in the correct configuration. That is more than enough to be getting along with. You look to the foot of your bed and blink, bemused at your discovery. You can see lying upon the sheet a garment of... two garments, actually. One of black and white folded into a neat square. What could it be? A maid's outfit? If so, it would not be too surprising. You can now recall your visit with the princess the night prior and her assertions that you must be her lady's maid. Well, if that's the rule she wants you to assume, you have no qualms with it. It's far preferable than to the other role you played last night, that of a startled quarry running from a pursuer. You press your fingers against the humble maid's attire. It feels surprisingly soft to the touch. No, of course, like you expected. These clothes are rather fine. Did the princess put them there? If so, that is all the more reason to wear them. You're not churlish enough to deny her hospitality. You rise from your new bed, undress yourself, unbuttoning the front of your plain white nightgown, setting it aside. This task accomplished, then you clad yourself in your new attire, black and white, and eminently sensible. You feel very far away from the girl you once were. Your face might have been the same as always, but something within you seems to have changed. You're no longer a student, not as long as you remain to reside within the princess's castle. You would far rather be her servant. Assured of your newfound identity, you retreat from your chamber, then make your way to your mistress's bedroom. The castle is large, one with many rooms and many hallways to connect them. And for a brief while, you find yourself horrendously lost. You cannot remember where the princess's bedroom is. You're beginning to feel rather disoriented. When to your relief, your eyes snag upon a stairwell which looks rather familiar. Could this be the way? You ascend these steps, your footfalls cushioned by the plush carpet which lines them, then find your way down to the very same hall you traversed the night prior. If your memory does not fail you, then the princess's bedroom ought to be, yes, here. You rap upon the door but receive nothing in the way of a response. Is the princess in bed? You wonder briefly whether you oughtn't wait until she has ridden of or the court. No. The sun is high in the sky. It would be a shame to let the princess sleep through the day. You ought instead to rouse her. That seems like the sort of duty a lady's maid should attend to. You enter the princess's bedroom and glance about. Her room looks so much the same as you remember the night prior, though the ceiling seems higher when viewed in the one morning's light. You can see now that there are fewer shadows to impede your view. How very opulent of your young mistress's abode is. Her armoire is large and imposing, as is the grate in which you will be expected to keep a fire lit during the nights. The princess herself, meanwhile, looks rather less grandiose than her title would suggest. She's attired in a nightgown adorned with frills, and her hair is split across her pillows like spilled gold. Her slender arms, meanwhile, held to her chest, is a doll, the very same one she was cosetting last night. You suppose this doll must be her favorite. I really wonder what the doll's name is, though you do not Jeebus. My ears! My ears! My ears!
Good thing I have stream. Good thing I have Twitch muted.
Girl! Time to wake your mistress. You call out to the princess, but she's largely unresponsive. Her eyelashes are so tightly shut and her lips purse in slumber. You purse your lips too and sigh. Well, nobody said your job would be easy. Once again, you call to the princess, and this time she replies. Her response is not a favorable one, however. She says, then turns away from me, her doll clutched to her chest.
Just give me a little longer.
The princess sounds so enfeebled, but you do not take pity on her. If you learned anything from the conservatoire, save knowledge pertaining to the respiratory tracts of fish, it is that one must be cruel to be kind. You do not think this adage was practiced with any great success in the conservatoire, but perhaps it will have more of an impact upon the princess. You tell her once again to wake up more sternly this time. You will not let her sleep, for she has slept long enough already. It's very slovenly, really, to be abed such an hour.
Oh.
Defeated, the princess sighs.
Alright, I can see that I can't twist you around my little finger. I'm up. You don't need to nag me.
She looks cute with the night dress.
It still has the pointy beds.
Yeah, I know. She looks adorable. Yeah, she wasn't a, you know. To rouse the princess from her bed, you put her doll to one side. You set upon her toilet. You aid the princess in brushing her hair, a chore to which she submits willingly. Like a cat, allow its fur to be brushed. She still has red and black. God damn. You allow yourself to ponder as you run the bristles of the princess brush through her hair. How wonderfully soft it feels against your skin. But a curious query from the princess.
Are you alright, dear one?
Brings you back to your senses. You're rather lost in thought there. I am screenshotting. Okay. Oh, we have a feisty one in my stream right now. Very god damn. In a sexy way or in that way? is the question. Look lively now. You wouldn't want the princess to catch wind of your scallious thoughts, would you? I thought you had learned your lesson about that already. Suitably chastened, you finish with the princess's hair and then set the brush aside. Both? God damn! Now that the princess' tresses have been taken care of, you must start on her attire. The princess may remain seated upon the edge of her bed, looking up at you askance. She does not ask you to avert your eyes, nor does she make any motion of divesting herself of her nightgown. Really does she seem as though she expects you to undertake this task on your own. Is that alright? Yes, the princess that as much you would not wish to impinge upon her modesty, but only she laughs.
Yes, that's alright. It's what you're supposed to do if you're to be my lady's maid. I'm used to being dressed and undressed. I'm not a bit squeamish about it.
She might not be squeamish, but you are. You've never been a niggling woman before accepting yourself. Even then, however, you have always dressed in undressed furtively, not wanting to examine the body for longer than is strictly necessary. You have never much liked the way that you look. You make a few more mumbled objections, but the princess sweeps them to one side easily.
It's alright. I might be a princess, but we're both people underneath all of our clothes. I doubt we look much different.
You're not sure about that. You have not yet seen the princess unadorned, but you already know how to look at her face that you're different. She's much, much prettier than you are. But she's waiting, and you do not wish to keep her any longer. You steady your nerves. Then you reach out with trembling hands and again, you work as quickly as you're able, which, given how badly your hands are shaking, is not very. You fumble with a couple of buttons, flinching as you do so. The princess, however, seems blissfully unaware of what is exactly what you're doing or not doing, for your fingers have begun to seize up in the front of her nightgown. She is not even looking at you. Instead, her gaze is directed beyond your shoulder to the windowsill and the sky beyond it.
It isn't particularly sunny, but I don't think it's too cold outside. Going for a walk might not be a bad idea. What do you think, dear one?
You think that you would like to finish undressing the princess as soon as possible so you can make some progress on dressing her again. The sight of this exposed skin is bad for your heart! Fortunately, you make quick work of the princess's nightgown despite your initial mishaps, spurred on perhaps by your anxiety. You bid the princess to stand, which she does, and neatly she steps out of her nightgown and motions once again as graceful as a fluid dancer is. This task completed, you search hurriedly, worriedly for the princess's red dress. Where is it? You cannot find it. Sweat begins to prickle on the back of your neck. Palms, meanwhile, feel uncomfortably clammy. The moments pass awkwardly, uneasily as you search the princess standing there. Oh wow, my goodness, the day she was out! Why could you not find her day dress before you could strip her of her night one? What a fool you are! The princess, noting your panic, giggles, then says,
Are you looking for my dress?
Yes, you reply, your face that is what you're doing!
I thought so. I did wonder before you started undressing me. I had not asked who it was. Maybe it slipped your mind?
It had slipped your mind, yes, to your shame! You were too busy not to fixate upon the princess's bare skin to think about how best to conceal it!
My dress is in my armoire.
The princess says, glancing over to the aforementioned piece of furniture. The armoire of hers is intricately carved wooden structure, large enough, or you so estimate, to fit inside enough dresses, attire, a whole ballroom's worth of princesses.
I'd like to wear the red one. It's my favorite. Would you be a dear and fetch it for me? I don't want to rush you, but it is rather cold in here, especially when I'm still Nyeh!
Nyeh! Nyeh! The hell? Jesus. She raises a good point. You turn away from the princess and make your way through Armoire. You peruse the clothes hanging within. It's just as you expected. Inside, the wardrobe lies numerous dresses, all of them finely sewn and decorated with no shortage of ribbons, lace, and iridescent pearls. You find that the princess's red dress soon enough, then hurry to her side. With your spoils in hand, you hurry to dress her, concealing once again the princess's pale skin beneath layers upon layers of soft red velvet. Wow, she actually looks more brighter now than she did last night, in a way. She's easier to look at now.
Yeah, 'cause it's daytime.
Yeah. With her skin concealed, that might have been the most nerve-wracking task you ever had to accomplish, even more than your perilous escape through the foggy forest. Why, it seems like a small miracle you can still remember how to breathe.
Ah, that's much better. Thank you, dear one, for your help. You've not been here for a full day. I already wonder what I'd do without you.
Charlie, you're sure the princess said you did nothing. Really, nothing beyond your job. You did not do anything incredible. And in any case, being complimented by somebody so pretty is embarrassing.
Aw, don't be like that. I want to compliment you. Why shouldn't I when you've been most helpful? It'd be rude not to. And anyway, I think you're very pretty too.
Oh my! Your face flushes from this more deeply than ever before. You ought to count yourself lucky, really. What with all this excessive blushing that the princess that does not seem to possess any vampiristic tendencies. You're making yourself quite the easy target.
Now,
The princess declares.
why don't we go for a walk? It's a nice enough day, and I get so very bored of being cooped up inside.
Can't think of any particular objections to raise to this remark, and you think that the princess might have a point. The castle, though expansive, is somewhat stifling. The walls are so very thick they put you in mind of a crypt. With your acquaintance assured, the princess quits her chamber and her posture elegant and her gait unhurried. She seems to not to walk as she navigates her way through the seemingly endless hallways of her home, but to float like a cloud. Now her dress swishes around her legs and her hair shifts like a shroud. Castle's courtyard, meanwhile, is sadly lacking in comparison to the princess's beauty. The courtyard is fenced by the castle's walls, which look in stark midday light tall and imposing. Face a soldier standing sentinel. Though the sun is out, it is not particularly bright, and neither is it particularly warm. The courtyard itself, meanwhile, is in a state of disarray. Flower beds are all in shambles, all overgrown with weeds. It is all rather depressing. The princess's castle might be grand in scale, but the courtyard itself is simple, and into a claustrophobic degree like a coffin. The princess, however, does not seem to share her dolorous mood. She instead looks elated by her newfound surrounding, her smile unwavering. She gambols about like a lamb, flittering hither and thither as she examines the weed-infested flower beds.
Zerly Verlix just subscribed.
What?
Thank you, Zerly Verlix. You didn't have to subscribe. Thank you. Her frolicking comes to cease, however, by a bush. One is full of bright red roses.
Oh, how very pretty. I now think they are gorgeous, dear one.
The flowers are not too disappointing, I suppose. They make for a fine spectacle, in fact. A welcome splash of color contrasted with the dullness and drabness which permeates the rest of the courtyard. Though the other flowers in their beds are wilted, withered things, it is not so for these roses. They are bright rich red, just like blood. Their heads are so full they almost seem to droop beneath the weight of their own engorged petals. They are pretty in a sense, but there's something unsettling about them too, something that is almost obscene. How did these roses become so very red? What has been sustaining them? Could it be possible that these roses have been draining the life from other flowers which are struggling to grow within this garden? It's a fanciful thought, but...
Oh, they are simply divine. Looking at these roses always lifts my spirits. They really are my most favorite flowers. I simply must pick some of them, so I can use them to decorate my bedchamber. I could use a bit of color.
The princess reaches out to pluck one of the roses free from its resting place among its brethren. You watch her, your breath bated, anxious that this gesture might result in a freighted fresh flesh and bright red blood. But the princess is not as clumsy as you fear. Of course she's not. What did you think she was? You? Rather than worrying about other people, it would be better served if you worried more about yourself. The princess holds her newly fur rolls to her nose and inhales, her eyelids falling... I don't know. Falling shut as the flower's sweet scent washes over her. A few moments of silence pass. Then the princess begins to toy with the petals which adorn the flower's crown.
Now let me see. I wonder what fate has in store for me. She loves me?
The princess plucks a petal from the flower's overburdened head.
She loves me not.
The princess continues with this childish incantation, all the while stripping her nose slowly and methodically of its petals. These petals flutter about the princess like bloody snow. The princess' voice, meanwhile, echoes throughout the courtyard, even more melancholic than the strings of a pianola. You mean a piano?
She loves me not. She loves me not.
The princess's finger hovers over the final petal, which crowns her nearly denuded flower. Then, with a triumphant smile, she declares,
She loves me. I knew it.
You watch the princess, amused by her girlish good cheer. The little mantra
I need to head upstairs, so I will be right back.
she's been reciting is one that you're familiar with. The girls at the conservatory who used this to engage in this little game, the younger ones at least, who believed that a fairy tale prince would whisk them away.
I'll be right back.
Okay, you might have participated in this game yourself. Nah! When you were a child yourself, but you never pinned your hopes and dreams on a handsome prince. Your interest in princes have always been minimal. When it comes to fairy princess, though, well, that's a different matter altogether, isn't it? Possibly, you ask whose love it is she wishes to court, a query which makes the princess giggle. Oh, dear one, who else would I be thinking of? Naturally, I was thinking of you. Naturally. She says it so easily, as though you ought to have suspected as much, and indeed, a part of you did. You wanted to believe, yet a part of you was afraid to. You did not want to be arrogant enough to assume that the princess might care for your affections. You begin to blush, your cheeks almost as red as the roses, while the princess laughs. She laughs and laughs and laughs. Her voice is clear and sweet as a nightingale's song, as though you're the funniest thing she has ever seen. She never liked being laughed at when... You never liked being laughed at when you dwelt within the walls of the conservatoire. It is different with her. You have not known her for all that long, but you're already entranced by her and snared. She has you wrapped around her little finger. Oh my! The princess's laughter tapers off to a series of giggles, smiling as she wipes her eyes with the back of her hand. That was quite the amusing diversion, but I've just had an idea. You look at the princess's curiously. What idea? You can't tell? You cannot even begin to guess. I just thought that all this watching must be boring you, the princess says, tossing the rose stripped stem carelessly to the ground. You should give it a try. Please do. It will be fun. The princess retrieves a second red rose from the bushes, deftly snapping it between her fingers and offers it to you. I want to see what fate has in store for you too. You smile at the princess, touched by her enthusiasm. Indulging in childish games like this might not be the best of use of your time, but the princess looked very determined. Would you not wish to hurt her? What could be harm really in consenting? The only real casualty of this game will be one singular rose, the rose that the princess is holding towards you. You reach out, meaning to accept the princess's offering, but oh no, you are clumsy, and he seized the stem of the rose with a touch too much strength. The head of the rose might be pretty, but there is more to a rose than its bright red flowers. Roses have thorns too. The fact that you are now being painfully reminded of. Pain flares through your finger and gasp. You take a step back, the hem of your skirt swishing around your ankles. Your finger is still stinging, and so are your eyes. You ought to have been more careful. Why were you so stupid? You poor dear, you're bleeding. The princess exclaims, alarmed. Then she frowns. This is all my fault. If I did not suggest this silly game, this never would have happened. Please, let me take care of you. How is she going to do that? Perhaps she means to take a handkerchief from her pocket with which she might staunch your wound. Princesses tend to carry handkerchiefs around them, don't they? Silken ones? How else would they give brave knights of their tokens of their gratitude once these aforementioned knights have successfully slain dragons? Princesses can hardly dispense kisses as favors. It is simply not done. That is what you always thought, but please, hold still. This might sting a little bit. The princess is anything but ordinary. Rather than take a handkerchief, she encloses her white, slender fingers around her hand. Imagine slaying a dragon and all you get is a handkerchief. Well, technically, you can sell it for a high price because it's made out of silk. Carefully, as though she's handling a precious object, she raises your hand, her eyes affixed all the while on the beads of startlingly crimson blood which are oozing liquidly from your wound. She licks her lower lip. Then she dips her head. She parts her mouth with a soft sigh, which borders on the senses. She slips your injured digits between her. So much for princesses not dispensing kisses as tokens of appreciation. This might not be a conventional kiss, but it feels intimate regardless. Jesus! This might not be a conventional kiss. It feels intimate regardless, almost startlingly so. The princess's lips, which are red as any rose, are enclosed around your index finger. You can feel the warmth of the princess's mouth about your skin and the wetness of it. These sensations make your whole body quake. You did not expect this. Tremendously, the voice waver. You ask the princess what it is she is doing. Oh? The princess glances up at you, her mouth still enclosed around your finger. Didn't I tell you? I'm trying to stop the bleeding. Yes, you gathered as much, but is there a problem? I'm not making you uncomfortable, am I? It is not, you say, that she's making you uncomfortable per se, but this is rather awkward. You did not expect it, is all. This is more intimate than a kiss. Well, I know something that is more anyways, it's... And she's not worrying that this is unhygienic? Unhygienic? The princess blinks. She notices she is the very picture of innocence, which is funny. Really, given your finger is still nested, they'll get their tongue. Maybe they'll get... Maybe. I would like that. Maybe. Happy ending, please. Give. Give? Please? I don't know what you mean by that exactly. But I've heard this is the best way to cure cuts. My nursemaid used to do this for me when I was a child. That's what you're supposed to do. And you asked catching your voice in your throat, did her nursemaid keep staunching her words in her mouth when she grew older? Well, no. But my nursemaid was dismissed when I was 8 years old. That is the normal way of things. I had my lady's maid to look after me then. How very interesting. Did they ever clean her wounds like this? No. The princess says, smiling mischievously. Because I'm not clumsy enough to cut myself, silly. Now that was quite the sharp report right there. You did not expect it. Your face turns even redder, if such a thing is possible, though this might perhaps be to your benefit. With some luck, all your blood will flow to your face rather than your finger, and your bleeding will stop. Maybe. Has it stopped? Your injury was not a deep one, so there should be no need for the princess to keep on. But she still is. You are not accustomed to the intimacy of this nature. It is making your heart flutter. If you knew what if the princess knew what her mouth was doing to you, you are sure she would not be so very familiar. You feel quietly, crushingly confident that she would scorn you for your feelings and deem them unnatural. It would not be the first time. At this point, you should be used to rejection. Still stings though. Stings as much more than any thorn on a rose could. Days pass following misadventures in the rose garden in a relaxed, unhurried sort of manner. Your mad dash through the forest is beginning to feel like a distant memory, so much so you feel scarcely the raw ache and fear you once felt as you fled your life. There's no running to be had while you're working for the princess. You would have nowhere else to run, and in any event, there's no longer any reason to run. The shadows which once tormented you have at long last begun to recede. You can scarcely recall, as you lay down in your bed, the petty cruelties you were subjected to by your classmates at the conservatoire. They no longer matter. Your attention is focused not upon yourself, but upon the princess. The more time you spend with her, the more you come to care for her. Oh shit. There you go. Now it's there. Okay. You have become quite besotted with her, but you are yet to realize it. Well, I never. How very ignorant can one girl be of her own feelings? The princess is not so half as ignorant as you are, though despite having spent her whole life within the palace walls. Serlivilix says welcome back. The way of her own feelings are not unknown to her, and during one stormy night she chooses to make them known to you. You are in the princess's chambers later, perhaps, than you ought to be. Later than is strictly appropriate. It is dark outside, and there's little save the light of the moon to alleviate that, and the fire which crackles in the grate. You've only just finished stroking the fire, and now you rise. You look at the princess who's laying on her bed, and you bid her good night as you have many nights passed. With a neat curtsy, you turn to leave, but the princess' plaintive voice gives you a pause.
Wait, dear one. Do not go, not just yet.
Perplexed, you pause, then look back at the princess. Though she is smiling, her expression is unusually wan. She alright?
Oh, I'm sure I'll be fine. It's just nights like this, which make me feel a little out of sorts.
And what, you ask, does she mean by that?
Only that is very cold and very dark. And it's very windy besides. I'm afraid there'll be a storm later. It's awfully cloudy earlier when we went for a walk.
The princess is not mistaken about that. The sky, when a pair of ye promenaded the gardens earlier, promenaded, okay, about the gardens earlier, was gray and steely. The wind was bitingly cold. All of these deep words I have never used in everyday life. Jesus. You can hear the wind rattling mournfully against the panes in the princess's bedchamber. The princess's castle is built of stone and is well fortified, but even with the fire, it is rather cold. You do not like to think how much chillier by comparison it will be in your bedchamber, which is... You pronounce them cutely. I just have a little bit in my mouth. I don't know what it is. God damn, my grandma's sister did this to me. We just...
Want me to umbrella your tongue?
What? Wait, what did you say?
Do you want me to umbrella your tongue?
You can't do that, you have girlfriend. Which is not unfortunate enough to have its own fireplace.
Sorry. It might sound childish. I've always found it hard to sleep on stormy nights like this. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
You look at the princess with no small degree of sympathy. No longer clad in a bright red dress, she looks oddly uncommonly vulnerable. Will she really be alright, all alone in her oversized bed, in her high-ceilinged bedchamber? You know it's silly of you to contemplate such query. Why would you not be alright? There's nobody in the castle to hurt her, but still you fret for her. As her lady's maid, it is your job to fret for her. You'd never want your mistress to feel unhappy. Yes, the princess, what it is she would have you do? And the princess perked up. Please, perhaps you are taking initiative.
I wouldn't like to take too much of your time when it is so very late. But would you mind sitting with me a little while longer and reading to me? Provided that you can, of course.
This is a fair enough question, but your pride bristles regardless. Hastily you reassured the princess that yes, of course you could read. You were a poor student in many aspects at the conservatoire, but you had something of a gift when it came to literary arts. Reading books is all you have been any glad.
Oh, I see. I suppose I should have known. You're so incredible. I sometimes wonder if there's anything that you can't do.
The princess's high praises make you flush. Awkwardly, you look away. Being able to read your reassurer is not such a great feat.
Perhaps it isn't where you hail from, but here it is. Very few of my old servants could read. I certainly couldn't read the books that I like.
This piques your interest. Intrigued, you ask the princess what books exactly she likes.
I'm glad you asked. I'm fond of fairy tales, you see. Old ones from centuries past. I have a collection of them here.
The princess says, indicating a book on her bedside table as thick as a mortuary slab. I actually have a book of fairy tales that is so thick, but it's like it has pictures.
It's like you know the thickness of my big cat plushie.
Oh yeah.
It's not quite as thick as that, but it's pretty close.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, it's got Grimm Brothers and Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales in it.
Oh.
So yeah.
Mine is a compilation of stories in one book.
Nice.
And it has a lot of pictures.
Ooh. The book is old, though, and the bindings are weak. The page is brittle, the writing woefully old-fashioned. I didn't trust any of my past servants with that book, but I think you would do a good job breathing life into those old stories. Would you mind reading to me for just a brief while? Please, dear one, oh please.
The princess' request seems a simple one expressed sweetly, so much so you see no reason to refuse her. You take it beside the princess upon her luxurious bed, which sinks beneath your weight. Then you retrieve the leather-bound book which is resting upon her bedside table and spread open. Pages of the book are very brittle like the princess said, and the bindings of the book are loose. You can feel in the heft of the book's manifold pages the weight of the ages concealed within it. How old is this book? Perhaps it's as old as the castle in which it resides. It is with a quiet voice, hesitant at first, you begin to read to the princess a tale of courtly love which culminates in a lavish wedding ceremony. All the while you read, the princess listens to you, enraptured, hanging, or so it seems, upon your every word. Mochi reading fairy tales soon when? Would you want me to read fairy tales? I don't think I'm good at reading fairy tales. I can make voices, sure, but actually reading them is like, I don't know. Once you reach the final phrase embossed upon the pages of this aged tome, and they lived happily ever after. The princess... I'm the one who's reading.
Don't know if I was supposed to read that or you were supposed to read
I'm the one who's reading because they asked me, so I think it'd be fun to listen to. Okay, it depends on what story though, because... The princess sighs as though this tale has touched her very soul.
There be a handsome prince to marry me,
She says somberly.
or better yet, a beautiful princess. At this point, I think I would even settle for a lowly scullery maid.
You blush at this idle remark and mumble softly that this would not be proper. The storm outside is still squalling, and you have never been one to raise your voice. You do not expect, therefore, that the princess will overhear you, but she does. She observes you, her head resting against her pillows, and says,
And what would be the problem with that, As my maid, shouldn't my happiness come before any silly ideas of proprietary?
well, of course, you reply, but for a princess to marry a scullery maid.
You're still hung up on that?
The princess titters.
Don't pay it too much heed. I'm just talking to myself. As if saying anything like that would ever happen, when there's no priest around who would officiate it.
You think there are greater issues with the princess's plan than the lack of priests, though she does present a good point. The castle is an empty one. Even if the princess were to find somebody that she loves, there would be nobody to make such a wedding official. You cannot help but feel like you have avoided a good deal of nuisance. But by the same token, do you not feel a touch disappointed? Well, never mind.
It's a nice story,
The princess says.
but I'm not sleepy yet, and it's still storming outside. Won't you read me one more?
You would mind, you reply, but it's getting late. You really ought to return to your own bedchamber.
I know, but can't you find it in your heart to read one story to me? Just one? You can choose a short one, I won't complain.
You have some doubts about that, but as before, you cannot resist the princess' demands. It is not a thing, because she is a princess, though that is, of course, a part of it, but because she is, well, radiant. You nod, you think, as you turn to the next story recounted in this age compendium, want to upset her. You'd rather cut your own tongue. You You read another story of the princess, which is similar vein to the last, impossible adventures culminating at their close in a happy marriage. This tale delights the princess just as much as the tale you read prior, and she begs for another and another. One brilliant story soon becomes 5, and even then, when the candles with a flicker on the princess's bedside are close to guttering out, the princess is not satisfied. Like a greedy child, she has never heard of moderation. When she wants something, she seeks to glut herself with it. Her only request that of more. If she were less homely, perhaps her inability to adhere to the word no would be seen as a character defect. The princess is very comely, however, and so when she makes her next request, you almost agree offhand without considering the ramifications.
Go to sleep now. The storm is still raging. Feel lonely on my own in this big empty bed. So I know.
The princess light up.
Why don't you sleep with me?
You stare at the princess, your eyes wide as goose eggs. Slowly you blink. Then, just as slowly, you bid her to repeat herself.
Didn't you hear me?
The princess giggles.
Maybe you've been so busy cleaning up after me, you've neglected to clean out your own ears. I said, dear one, would you like to sleep with me?
If that's the question she truly means to ask, then it's easy enough to answer. Of course you would like to sleep with her. It would be an honor. But would it be alright for you to accept such invitation? It must be gross to breach protocol, surely, for a lowly domestic such as yourself to share a bed with a princess. You sit upon the princess's bedside while she observes with wide beseeching eyes. She is waiting.
Well, what's the matter, dear one? Why do you tarry so? Could it be...
The prince's lower lip begins to tremble.
Don't you want to lie with me after all?
The sorrow present in the princess's voice and in her face makes you feel awfully guilty. Hurriedly, you console her. You tell her in no uncertain terms that if she truly wished to partake in your company, then you won't have no qualms with it. Why would you?
Well then, don't just stand there dilly-dallying silly. Come and join me. Come!
And that's what you do after returning briefly to your own bedroom to change into your nightgown. Once dressed, you waste no time returning into your pictures. Princess sighed. She's already lying in her glorious four-poster bed, waiting your return as soon as your knight-errant gone away to slay some wicked dragon. The princess giggles when she sees you in your haste to change, but you have made a hash of the buttons, and she bids you to come closer.
Fix that for you, silly.
Oh no, you say, I couldn't possibly let you do that, but I'm a servant after all. Should it not be your job to dress her?
Maybe so.
The princess says.
But I don't mind a bit of role reversal to make things more fun.
You try a few more verifications, but in vain. The princess summarily discards all of them. Quite at the princess's mercy, she might be even more stern than you are. You capitulate to her demands. You let the princess unbutton your front of your nightdress, then rebutton them, so the fabric of your plain gown is drawn shut. Satisfied with her handiwork, she has very elegant hands. The princess draws back and passes the mattress beside her.
Now, come in. It must be horribly cold out there, but these sheets are warm.
Coyly, the princess smiles.
And so am I. And so am I.
Why are you like this? Why are you like this? Why are you like that?
Why am I like what?
No, not you, the princess. God damn it.
I know.
You feel warm yourself as you slide into the bedside of the princess. You sounded Yoshi for a bit. Man, you have a girlfriend? I am not gonna tread that. Stop it.
I know, but you don't.
And? What's your point in that? Would it be cheating? I think it would be cheating if your girlfriend was here right now and was just like, oh yeah.
She knows all my flirting with you is being playful. Not
Yeah, I know.
genuine serious.
But if it was
Like,
genuine,
I wanna
I'd be like, don't stick with your girlfriend because she is wonderful. God damn
Oh
it.
yeah, she is.
See?
Because you've met her.
Well, yeah! She's so softy! And she likes my noises and she laughs at my silliness. Like a little, like a happy noises. Yeah! Woo! You feel warm yourself as... Okay, I think I said that. Your face is red as the gown, the princess so often wears, as red as the roses in the castle's grounds. All the while, your heart is fluttering. Does the princess know that what an effect she's having on you? Surely she must. How could any woman be so blind?
There.
The prince exclaims once your body is laying beside hers.
That is much better. Do you feel cozy now, dear one?
You swallow and with a shaky voice you reassure her. Yes, you're cozy. You're quite cozy indeed.
Very good. The storm might be raging outside, but it can't get us here. I know. When I'm with you, I'll be safe.
Oh shit.
It's strange, but
Princess reaches out, then takes her hand in hers, twining your fingers together like a chain.
when I'm with you, I feel so very light. It's as though nothing in the world can hurt me. You make me feel safe, so I want to make you feel safe too. I'll take very, very good care of you. I promise.
You return her smile with one of your own, touched by her thoughtful faithfulness, though something about her promise makes you wonder. Should it be not your job to look after her as a domestic?
In a way.
The princess replies after a pause.
But you've been taking good care of me already. Now I need to return the favor.
No.
As a princess, I'm supposed to look after my vassals. It's all part of the job description.
You're unaware that being a princess came with a job description? You thought the profession came with far fewer written responsibility and far fewer forms to sign than, say, becoming a doctor or astrophysicist or a mathematics professor. You tell the princess sleepily as she laughs.
You do say some funny things, dear one. I think you must be tired. Rest your head. You've been working so hard. I think you deserve it.
Jeebus.
Continue, dear Mochi.
Fuck. Yes, you think only half conscious, you think you deserve it too. You've been working hard for a long time, have been running for even longer, but now, at long last, you feel like you can let your fears go. Your eyelids begin to droop, your body beleaguered by a sudden consuming fatigue. And in a quiet, your consciousness conveyed to Morpheus's kingdom. Your sleep is a deep one, despite the storm which rages outdoors. Wind is howling like the couple of wild cats, both locked in a vicious, bloodthirsty bout to the death. But you do not hear it. Swallowed by the warm blankets about you and soothed by the princess's presence, you are immune from all the ills of the world. When you are with the princess, you feel safe, secure, and, yes, you even feel loved. It's a pity, then, that these feelings do not last for very long. God damn it.
Here we go. Here we go again.
Can I not go through it?
I don't think the game is giving you much of a choice.
Okay. Your thoughts are hopelessly jumbled, but you're certain that when you... No less beneath soft, comfortable sheets, you're not lying in a bed right now, though. You're not, in fact, lying at all. You're standing instead against a cold, hard wall made of stone. Ah. Wow. The
Oh,
curve...
look, ladies in maid outfits.
Yep. The curve on your back is pressed against the wall so intimately you feel its icy chill seeping through the fabric of your nightgown. The MC is cute though. Yeah. Your feet, which are bare, are seemingly pressed against cold, unfeeling stone. They feel so frigid that you cannot help but tremble. You are trembling so much you can feel your teeth chattering together. They count like castanets.
The nets.
I don't know. The sound is almost jaunty as it echoes through your cell, for that is indeed where you are. The princess's bedchamber where you fell asleep is a thing now of the past. You are standing instead. You realize, with a sharp start, in the cell of some great underground dungeon. You swallow. When you do, you can say something bitter on your tongue. Your stomach is beginning to churn with anxiety. You feel like you're going to be sick, a feeling which wells up inside you to a staggering degree, which you catch notice of the stench. Not, you realize, the only one in this dungeon. There are others here, others attired with simple black and white outfits of servants, which look like the dress that you once wore. The others who are with you, however, in this expansive cell manacled to the walls, are no fit state to speak to you, nor tell you of their plights. They are all unseeing, unbreathing. They are all dead. Wow, what a nice touch! The noises of the horrible noises. Yep. Wow. The horrible piano noises is a nice touch. There's no way any human could survive the wounds which have been inflicted upon these sad, slumped bodies. Over there you see a woman slumped in front of her face white apron, stained with blackish blood. There's a gaping wound in the stomach, and one which the entrails have half escaped. It's sort of a burgundy goop, which might have once been pink. Another woman slumped beside the first of a smaller statue. She's skinnier. Maybe she's not a woman after all, but an adolescent like yourself. She might be even younger. The girl's age, or lack thereof, did not preclude her attacker inflicting upon her horrors. For her body is even more mutilated than Jesus. Her body is peppered with more wheels, and her face has been half smashed in. Only one eye remains, staring fixedly at the wall opposite her, in the ruined remains of what was once her skull. Over there you see a woman who's missing both her arms and her lower jaw. Over there you can see another who's missing her entire lower half. Or have her legs gone, you have no idea. The injuries inflicted upon these bodies are ghastly, but their advanced decay is enough to turn your stomach. You know how long these carcasses have been living down here, but they've begun to putrefy?
Putrefied. Yeah.
You fear a similar fate might befall you. Should you stay here, you need to escape. Fitfully, you struggle against the manacles which bind you, but alas, it's all you. You cannot free yourself from the walls. Your restraints are much too strong, and you're much too weak. The panic rises up your throat, cold and icy, while terror seizes your heart. This too, glacial. Jesus. It's obvious that escape is impossible, but you squirm and writhe like a rat caught in a firestorm. That's the thing. There's little point, however, to your struggles. You succeed in nothing as you attempt to free yourself, save making the steel manacles dig into your abused wrists more sharply than ever. You gasp. That hurts. Well, you ought to have known that would not work. The very definition of insanity is, performing a set of action over and over again, hoping for a different response. In a sense, perhaps one could argue optimism is not so very different from insanity. Now that's an interesting point to consider, would you not agree? No, definitely not. You're still trying to escape, you foolish girl. As if that would do you any good. The clangorous rattling of your steely restraints is rather starting to get on my nerves. You're making enough noise to rise the dead down there in your dark, clingy cell, and all your screaming is hardly helping matters. I wish you would cease this infernal racket, but I know you will not. Nothing I'd say could ever get through you. Not that you ever listened to me in the first place. Perhaps you would listen to her, though. Is she not your kind, considerate mistress? Look now. She has come all this way into the dark depths of the castle's cold, inhospitable dungeon to see you. Is that not kind of her?
Dear one.
The princess trills, entering the dungeon with a series of light lifting steps.
It would seem you have finally awoken. How are you? Based on all that infernal racket you've been making, it seems like you have no shortage of energy.
Balefully, you turn your head so as to meet the eyes of the princess. She is standing but a few paces away, beneath a roughly hewn stone arch, which bids one entry but rarely ever an exit to the dungeons. The dungeons are dull and drab, but the princess is wearing her favorite red dress. It's so bright and brilliant that for a few moments it hurts you to look at her. Once the red princess outfit made you think of romance, now it makes you think of violence.
You must forgive me for leaving you down here for so long. That was unfair of me. I did think of waiting here with you by your side until you woke, but...
Once again, the princess giggles, a light, airy giggle which not all suit the situation in which you have found yourself.
Dangerous. A dungeon is not a fit place after all for a princess. It's horribly cold here and so very drab, and there is nowhere nice and soft to lay my head. I could have brought my pillows down from my bed, I suppose, and my blankets. But then they would have gone dirty, and that would be a disaster. I need to be more careful. I won't have anybody left to clean up after my messes soon. Not when I've dispatched of you.
Once again, the princess laughs, and her laughter is light and lilting, like the chiming of a silvery bell, but it does not alleviate your concern. If anything, this makes you feel even more alarmed. Did she say that she meant to dispatch of you?
Yes, that's right. Can you not tell? I thought you might have figured that out already after waking up in a dungeon, silly.
Still smiling, the princess takes another step towards you. Would that you could, you would cringe away from her, but you cannot. You're completely powerless. This is kind of kinky, and also why? The princess reaches.
Screenshot I saw on the webpage.
The princess reaches out and places a hand upon your cheek. Her skin is very white, and though her touch is cool, it is less so than the frigid air in the dungeon. Though your body is aching, the princess's touch is gentle, and you find yourself leaning into it subconsciously. You wish she could keep holding you. You wish she would keep touching you. You luxuriate in her kindness as best as you can, but though the princess's caresses are tender, your circumstances rather undermine them. How can you relax like this?
You're such a good girl.
The princess says in cajoling sort of voice, as one might address a cat.
You've been so lovely to me while we've been together. I really couldn't ask for a better servant. I feel as though I've been spoiled.
Why then, you ask her, is she doing this? Improbable though as it sounds, she must be the one who chained you up. There's nobody else in the castle who committed such a feat. Everybody else is dead.
Why, yes, how very astute of you. I was the one who orchestrated all of this, naturally.
Naturally, she says, as though betrayal is a matter of course. Naturally. Why, you ask, is so natural to her? What does she mean to do with you?
Oh, only what I've done to all of my other servants. I have experience with this sort of thing, so please don't worry. I'll take good care of you.
And by take good care of, she means...
Naturally, I'll kill you.
Jesus Christ. There it is again, that word seems grossly inappropriate given all which has transpired. Naturally. There's nothing natural about this.
Do you not think so?
The princess examines you, her expression ponderous.
It's natural to me, even if it isn't natural to other people. This just feels right.
Imprisoning her servants in a dungeon and letting them die?
Yes, exactly. There's a bit more to it than that, though.
Oh, of course there is.
I like you, dear one.
Princess said in a voice which sounds uncommonly serious.
You have been good to me, like I said, and kind. For that I will be eternally appreciative. You've been so good to me, in fact, that simply being with you is not enough. Not anymore. Your company can no longer content me. I'm a greedy, selfish girl, you see.
The princess smiled widens with something sinister, her eyes flashing with a fiendish fervor that you have never before witnessed.
And I don't want to feel you beside me. I want to feel you inside me.
Jesus Christ.
And there's the cannibalism.
Well, for all the things your charming captive could have said, you did not expect that. Princess, perhaps noticing your confusion, begins to giggle. A giggle even lighter than meringue. Just as airy. It is just as inoffensive.
I can see that you don't understand, dear one. But you aren't the only one. My last lady's maid said that too.
Finally, the princess sighs a beloved woe is me sigh, which makes her look even younger than the scant handful of years she truly possessed.
And the one before that, the one before that, and the one before that. I thought that you, at least, might be able to appreciate my point of view. But perhaps not. I don't think it should be too complicated to grasp, really. But maybe my way of looking at the world is a bit unique. That's why my nurse always used to say, at least when she still had the breath to speak, of course.
You look at the princess. Where else is there for you to look? Your eyes are fixed to her face. She's still smiling, but there's something sinister about her smile, or perhaps in your anxious state you're only imagining that there is something sinister about her smile. It is easy to see things which do not really exist in your surrounding, are festooned in the shadows. In actuality, however, the princess does not look any different to how she usually does. Neither is she acting any differently to the way she usually acts. She has not changed. It is only your perspective of her that has changed tremendously. You ask the princess what she means. A question the princess is only too happy to answer.
Simple, really. Like I said, you were wondering, weren't you? Why there weren't any guards or any servants in the castle when you first arrived here?
The question had crossed your mind, yes. You're sure that the princess and her minister sent them away, though? Was that a lie?
Wasn't being wholly truthful, no. I thought you would be afraid of me if you knew what had actually happened, and I didn't want that. I wanted you to stay with me. My ministers didn't send anybody away, so they don't have any ministers. I dispatched of them too.
Did she now? I suppose you ought to not to be surprised, but you still shudder regardless.
My ministers weren't very much fun, I'm afraid. I had a lot of ideas of what I should and shouldn't do after my parents died.
The princess stares at you, her eyes wide like black holes, empty, yawning abysses.
So I killed them. I killed my servants too, though I did a more thorough job with them than I did my ministers. I did not care for my ministers, you see. They were all fusty old men. But I did love my servants. I loved my ladies' maids and my undermaids, my scullery maids, my housekeeper and my cooks, and my large retinue of retainers. They were like my family. They raised me in my parents' absence, and I adored them. They were so very dear to me that I had no real choice. I had to eat them. Does that follow?
Not logically, no. Why, you asked the princess, your voice trembling. Would you eat the people you love? It seems a poor way to repay them for their kindness.
Well, why wouldn't you eat the people that you love? I don't think there could be any greater way of showcasing one's gratitude. Unless you have any better ideas.
You know, marriage, seg.
Giving them gifts.
Kiss. You know, the little. You weren't expecting the princess to turn the tables on you quite like this, and dumbfoundedly you stare at her. Exactly! Zerivilix understands. You know, precious little about love about yourself, so it's hard to form a convincing rebuttal, but you muster a few token arguments. You tell the princess that eating people isn't very nice, and neither is it strictly legal. A better way to show your gratitude to your servants would be increased wages or increased holidays. The princess listens to your arguments, her expression astute, like a student poised to take notes in a very important lecture. Once you are finished, however, her concentration fails her. Her shoulders begin to shake, but it is not with remorse for what she's done. Instead, she is laughing.
Oh, dear one, that's very funny. Why should I care about the law? I'm a princess. One day I'll be the queen. I am the law.
That is a good point, but would eating people not turn her subjects against her?
What subjects? I'm no fool, you know. No matter how I might act, and I know what happens beyond the castle's walls. I know all about the plague. Once I might have had a populace to govern, but they're all gone now. I'm a princess with nothing but name only, a monarch without any subjects. Don't you think that's sad? I know I do. It's so woefully lonely.
If she feels lonely, then why has she been systematically slaughtering all her domestic? It doesn't make a lick of sense.
Perhaps not to you.
Gently, the princess caresses your cheek.
I shouldn't judge you too harshly. As much as I like you, dear one, you are a commoner. Perhaps you can't understand the intricacies of my thoughts.
Privately, you doubt that anybody would be able to understand the intricacy of the princess's thought process, largely because it's unreasonable. You do not say that, though. Instead, you ask her own question. You think to ask with your very throat, which is sore from shouting. Why?
Why, you ask?
The princess blinks.
It's because I don't want you to leave me, of course. Everybody leaves sooner or later, whether they have pledged their allegiance to me or not. That is simply the way of the world. People are fickle and inconstant, even to me, a monarch. That's why I decided to eat my servants. I had no choice, you see. It was the only way to ensure that they would never leave me. When you think about it, they should be grateful that I would demean myself so, to consume their flesh and blood. I am magnanimous ruler, you see. I treat all of my subjects equally. I love every single one of you. And naturally, I love you too. You've been awfully nice to me, and you are very pretty alongside it. If you were a plain ugly girl, perhaps I would not shower you with affection quite as intense as this. But you've captured my heart. I think you're lovely. So I'll bestow you upon the highest honor I can conceive of. I want your body to mix with mine. Then we can stay together forever and ever.
You know, there's another way. There's another way for your body and my body to mix together in a way.
I don't think she can.
I don't think she even knows it. The princess leans in, You can feel her soft silken hair brushing against your cheeks. You can feel, too, the warmth of her breath as it goes against your skin. Why can't I... Exact... It's cold in the dungeon, but the princess's close proximity is perverse. Though this might sound something of a comfort. Her eyes wide and her lips are so red. Her smile, meanwhile, is so sweet.
I've been doing my best to fulfill the role that fate has dictated for me, but really...
The princess exhales. Her eyes, which are boring to yours, are like two dark tarns. Finally, you think you can see an alarming lack of light, the lack of anything in the princess' gaze, some degree of humanity.
It gets so lonely here.
Jesus. But this brief flicker of understanding which passes the pair of you is cut short. The princess dips her head. She parts her lips, which are rested as the petals of a carnivorous flower. You feel the princess's breath against your neck. It is warm, the icy chill of the dungeons. You shudder from it. For a few moments you think that this overture of the princess could be romantic in a way, but this too comes to a swift, merciless close. The princess's mouth is on your neck. The princess's teeth, sharp as needles, are in your flesh. The princess is draining your blood. She's supping on the great greedy goblets like a hungry animal who cannot truly comprehend the harm it's causing. Not gonna lie, I'm just thinking that they're eating apple right now because I don't wanna think about that. Even as the princess sobs for you, her arms twined around your waist, you find you cannot hate her. She is far too unworldly. You are sure as your consciousness begins to fade that the princess was being sincere when she spoke of her love for her past servants. This is simply the way the princess expresses this great love of hers, a love which is so very abundant it borders upon the monstrous. It is a love that you never thought you would quite experience. Maybe this is the time that they didn't have sex at the time or something. I don't know. This love of the princess eclipses everything you have ever known before. It eclipses sanity. It eclipses reason. It eclipses all notions that you might once have had of right or wrong. The princess, as you know full well, does not care much about such concepts. You have always possessed a stubborn core nestled beneath your weak-willed exterior, but the princess is even stubborner than you are. In the face of her love, you have met your match. The princess draws back desperately as you gasp for air, but she does not view any quarter. As before, she dips her head, her lips redder still with your blood that splits apart her jaw. Her teeth, which are impossibly humanly sharp, glint wickedly like knives. Then she tears out your... In front of your nightgown was white once, now it's red. There's so much blood you can smell it when you inhale the sharper than metal. It is so potent you can taste it on your tongue. You try to inhale, but this task proves to be beyond you. What with the twin perforations that have ruptured your skin. I suppose my strangely weird side thinks this is... I mean... It doesn't...
We all have that weird side.
Yeah, there's that weird side, but also I don't think you would want... You know... I think you would want, like, the pain of it, not the actual death of it. Yeah. I don't know. So, okay. Your attempted breaths when they escape your lips sound like a sad, sorry wheezes. Your whole body, meanwhile, feels as though it's on fire. You make for quite the sorry sight indeed, but you'll forgive me if my sympathy is limited. You did bring this upon yourself, you know. You reap what you sow, and in your case, you made a series of bad decisions which led to your untimely demise. Now what do you want to do? Will you accept this fate of yours and rest in peace? Or will you try to fight against it? It's like it. It's impressive how defiant. No, try not to cry. Keep your shit. Like an all fair maintenance, you're. Maybe I should. What, really? That's just. From the moment we first met, I have dedicated tirelessly to answering your wishes, and this is no different. Do not be foolish to think, though, that you can escape me, even if your life's blood has mingled with that of the. I'm not going to relinquish my hold on upon you this easily. I did pledge, after all, to remain by your side. Come what will, fire or flood, I will never leave you. You'll never be lonely again. What if I just... You need only the strength to try to... Why don't we give this another go? Just try not to ensnare the hearts of any more monarchs, particularly those with unusual appetites. You're destined for far higher purpose than being entree. And there are vastly more enjoyable ways to be eaten. See, whoever this person is, they agree. There are vastly more enjoyable ways to be eaten in this world, you know, and I think they mean in a sexual way. Your fate is once again in your hands. Now I wonder, which path will you take? Give up? Okay. So you've come back here, have you? That does not come as much as of a surprise. Though presented with 3 potential paths, it's not as though traversing any of them would have any particular impact upon your ultimate fate. In the end, you were always destined to return here. Did you really think you had a choice? How hopelessly naive of you. I thought you were smarter than that. If I were to be eaten, at least... I think you mean... like... Okay, Jesus. Your breath, which once escaped your lips' sharp, rapid grasps, is now on the verge of petering out altogether. Your lungs feel deflated, as though they have been punctured. Your blood is rushing through your body, your temples heady, overwhelming surge, your stomach meanwhile. It has twisted itself up into knots. Your body feels heavy, your legs in particular, they no longer wish to obey you. You took a stumbling step forward and your foot gets caught in a tree root. You're certain you passed this root once already and that you sidestepped it. But perhaps your memory is beginning to fail you, just like the rest of your body. Jesus Christ! You gasp, surprised, and pitch forward. Dull and senseless like a sack full of potatoes. Your arm hits the ground with a crack once which makes you cry out in pain. Your tears begin to beat your eyes wet and salty. Tears which you cannot stimmy. So that's what you looked like the whole time? Hey, you're not as resilient as the grave digger, nor as carefree as the princess. If you lived underwater like the mermaid, then nobody at the very least would be able to tell that you're crying. But you do not, and I can. Believe me, I can. Your arm aches dreadfully, but at least you can still feel it. Your poor feet, meanwhile, have gone quite numb. You try to stand, had you the energy, but you know, as you sit there dazed, this will be a futile effort. You can't stand, not any longer. It hurts too much. You really have been through a lot tonight, haven't you? I fear that I have not been very kind to you, but you ought to be accustomed to hardship. Why then are you crying? You always have been a crybaby. This is why they teased you so much. It's because they knew they would be guaranteed a reaction. You're very predictable. Even now, after you tried to borrow my power for your own purposes, you have not changed at all. You sit there sobbing. You hear, or you think you hear, footsteps approaching you. There to your right is the snapping of the twig. To your left, the telltale rustle of leaves. You're very senses feels razor sharp, honed to a knife's point by anxiety. You're so panicked, you feel as though you're going to be sick. If you want to vomit, then why not? There's no shame in it. There's nobody here to judge you. Nobody but me. I've always been here, you know. I'll always be here. No matter how fast you try to run, or how far. Did you really think you could escape from me? Poor, sweet child. Poor little fool. I did tell you, did I not? A contract with the witch is binding. No amount of physical distance between the both of us could ever sever it. I told you I would never let you be lonely, and I meant it. But I have rather enough of these little games. It's time for me to collect my collateral. Oh! Are you a witch or are you death? Which is it? Soft gas. Maybe. As you feel arms wind their way around your back, naturally you know whose arms they are. They are mine. I've been watching you all night, but this is the first time I've reached out to you in so direct a manner. Did you not expect me to be so forward? I can hear your heart fluttering in your chest. It's beating quickly, like a startled rabbit's. Your breaths are short and sharp. It's a cold night, and though I'm holding you, you're still shaking. I wish you would not tremble so. Everybody fears the unknown, but we are not strangers. We have spoken before, have we not? When you called me forth from the aether, using that book you found in the library, you were desperate enough then to turn to the occult for help. You pleaded with me to use my magic for your behalf. You begged me. You implored and you entreated and you wheedled and you whined, and though I had some reservations, you forced my hand. I had no choice, not in the face of your desperation. You did not want to be lonely anymore. You wanted to have a friend, somebody who will always be there for you, no matter what. You wanted somebody to love you. Is that not what you demanded of me? Is that not what I had given you? You might think me wicked, but I think you're being awfully cruel to yourself to run from me after I made all of your wishes come true. I did think, you know, about punishing you for running away from me. I thought of poking out your eyes so that you might never see anybody other than me. I thought about cutting your long, lovely hair so that nobody might ever think of you beautiful but me. I thought about breaking your legs so that you might never be able to escape from me. I turned all of these intriguing ideas over my mind. I'm a merciful witch. Though you hurt me, I did not wish to hurt you. You asked after all that I love you, and that's what I did. I have drowned you in my love. I have buried you beneath my love. I have swallowed you in my love. You have always been a sad, lonely girl who has been starved of affection. Nobody has ever cared for you. Your life has been a barren, empty wasteland, devoid of any fonder feelings. That is why I had to drown you, you see. That's why I had to bury you. It is why I had to swallow you. In the end, I was doing you a favor. I was doing it all for you. In that sense, you're very lucky. Do you know that? There are few people in the world who have had the privilege of being loved to the brink of insanity quite this many times in one night. There are few people in the world who can claim to have been loved by a witch. You have experienced so much love it ought to have been slacked even in your unquenchable thirst. Now, I know what it's like to be adored. I have more than upheld my end of the bargain. Now, I think it's time that you do the same. From this night forth, You and I will always be together. Then I shall be able to love you endlessly. You'll never be lonely again. I guess that's the end of it.
Damn.
My lord. Oh, all of my saves are gone.
Well, let's see if there are any extras.
Gallery.
Ooh, gallery.
Okay. Okay. That was interesting. It was. Music. Notes. The answer is plain because of Orphan's Tales by Catherine Valente. The Orphan's Tales are an interesting couple of novels. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Dragons, witches, and werewolves, genies, and mermaids, but they are told in linear fashion. The Orphan's Tales. Ah. I like the Orphan's Tales enough that I wanted to write something similar. I thought jotting down random concepts. Bishojos! Hey! But I only had to Princess's Story. Ah. Where's the story that were but the mermaid story make up numbers for this project. The system it also features the it was a weakest story, but I do like Desire. Fortunately, I missed the beginning. Well, it's okay. It all ended in a fixation and death anyway.
And you can also find this game online too. So.
Yeah, you could literally play this for free. It's literally for free.
Yep.
Wow. I'll check it out, thanks. No problemas. Well, I'm gonna end it there. I'll have to raid someone. Jesus. My lord, that, damn.
That was a game.
That was a game indeed. Good night. Oyasumi! See you soon again tomorrow, as per usual. I shall raid who's on.
For tomorrow?
What?
What's the plan for tomorrow?
I don't know. But for now, I'm gonna eat. And I'm gonna start this raid to Aura. Them and I have somewhat interacted, but they are a friend of a friend, namely Raku. They're not on, or Rakuten Prime. So if you want to see them play Minecraft, please do join the raid, and yeah, I'll tell them that I've raided them. Da-da-da.
Just do just to see what would happen.
Let me see.
That's
Yoo.
what? What is? Oh my god, another raid? Raid.
Hello!
Mochi, thank you for the raid. Appreciate it. Hello.
Nice stream.
How's it going?
I am gonna eat food.
Everybody, I'm Laura, you're a military overseas YouTuber specializing in streams for you to wind down and relax too.
Hey, here you go.
What are you up to? Lots of
And I
people
go.
have that.
Wah.